and like all these like directors who have these, names they shouldn't have and everything like that.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Howdy.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Shear.
Hi, everybody.
Dr. Nick.
Yes.
Holy smokes, you need booze.
So once again, this is the 30th anniversary of what we've been doing here. We started with 1975 because this is the best of the years we've been alive. And Jeremy, it was a question that we got, right?
Somebody asked me to go through all the years I've been alive and pick my favorite movie from each year, and we turned it into a podcast topic, which was accidentally one of the best ideas we ever had.
Yeah.
And now today, here we are, 2005.
Hogwarts, Hogwarts, Hoggy Woggy Hogwarts, teach us something, please.
Hey, Ma! Can we get some meatloaf? Waving to the girls in the stands! He's kicking me to high heaven!
You know it's hard out here for a pimp.
You were the chosen one! Sir! I got lost on the way to college, sir!
We've been talking about Jackson.
What is the point of all those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?
There was like an 8% chance. Wasn't it just 8?
8?
Yeah.
Who taught you math?
Hope you have a big trunk, because I'm putting my bike in it.
A year that is fairly notorious for one of us in this room.
Yes. So 2005 was a year that, for whatever reason, I watched every major release that came out.
Give people an idea how many films we're talking about.
I actually really don't know. I remember writing about this a long time ago. We all had a blog that we used to write on and everything. I think it was a little over 200.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're talking hundreds here.
Yeah, I didn't go into 2005 thinking I'm going to watch every movie this year. It's the way these things go is you watch a couple of movies in January and they're horrible. And obviously January is always one of the worst months that you can start with. And you're like, man, I've watched so many horrible movies. And then, you watch stuff like Are We There Yet? And all that other stuff. And you suddenly go, man, I've watched all these horrible movies. But then, I think I didn't watch them in order. And there was something where I went back and watched something that had come out a couple weeks prior to this. And suddenly I look back at the month and I've seen everything in January. And then I was like, I guess I'll just continue doing this. So it was around the end of January at the beginning of February. I was like, I think I can maybe do this, which led to probably the most exhaustive night ever, where I watched The Island, Bad News Bears, Hustle and Flow, and The Devil's Rejects all in one night. Because that was that was October. And I was like, well, how am I going to get these in? I don't want to let one slip by. I've been doing this a whole year and everything. And it was one of those things where I went to work early that morning, and I think it was like Mike and Mike on the ESPN or something like that was playing. And they were talking about some topic or whatever, and something about their wives or something like that. And then I watched all those movies that night, came and got in my car. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. It was Mike and Mike again. And they were talking about the after effects of what had happened to that whatever. And I was like, geez.
That's awesome.
So by the end of 2005, I realized this was the worst possible year to do this. Because 2005 has the most remakes, unnecessary sequels, and just general horrible movies.
Yeah.
I have ever seen in my life. And you gotta give it to me for being able to sit through this.
Yeah. Oh, props.
This was the year that all the box office websites were like, what's wrong? Why is it? There's a slump in the box office and all that. And I kept screaming. I was like, it's not because of the reasons that you're coming up with, which is, people are tired of the high prices and people don't like the sticky floors.
Home video.
Yeah. And all this. And they don't want to go out there because the experience isn't such and such anymore. No. Do you see the product that is coming into these theaters? They're all remakes and sequels. Miss Congeniality 2 came out in 2005.
Armed and Fabulous.
Yeah. Armed and Fabulous. and just these type of movies were coming out left and right. So, it was an awful year. It was a terrible year to do this. So what do we start with? Let's start off with something good, okay?
Yeah, okay. Well, then let's start off with Batman Begins.
Yeah, Batman Begins is a good one to start.
Christopher Nolan takes the reins of the Batman franchise and proceeds over the next 6 or 8 years to just show everybody how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Batman origin story that, again, we do see, him falling in the well, and we deal a little bit with his parents' death and whatnot. We've seen it before, but this movie really delves into Bruce's psyche, right? And why he eventually becomes Batman. He goes off, and initially he's just angry, right? And so he beating up people left and right, getting involved in crimes, stealing shit from Wayne Enterprises and whatnot. And eventually finds Ra's al Ghul. But I love this movie because the second half of it is backloaded with, Batman saving the city, and now we've seen his motivations.
Well, to this point, of course it's exhaustive now, but we've never gotten a look into his psyche. Even with the 1989 Batman, there was the parents getting killed sequence, but it wasn't like Michael Keaton was showing us his inner demons or anything like that,
right.
So I think he did it really, really well, and he set that whole world up. This was, I guess, the beginning of, for better or worse, the gritty superhero reboot, right?
Well, and you can take gritty too far.
Yes,
as
you can.
DC is showing us these days. But this is basically, it's almost a loose adaptation of the Year One story from the Batman comics, which is also a great movie, animated film. We get a lot of elements of this, like when he goes to see Gordon and he's got the stapler and he's wearing his own makeshift, Nightman outfit or whatever. He doesn't have the cowl yet or anything. And we basically get to see how Batman comes into being. I would watch Dark Knight ahead of this if I had to choose. But Dark Knight only pays off because of this movie.
Yeah, previous movie Batmans had especially the first Michael Keaton Batman. He's suddenly a badass out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know where how does he get all these skills? It's one thing to be rich and put on a uniform and everything, but like, you have to still be able to fight and all that. And this is one that really, takes us into that, and I loved all that stuff that they do with the, up in the mountains, rugged Christian Bale.
We see him trained as a legit ninja.
Yeah.
Right? So it sort of makes sense later that he can kick ass.
Mm-hmm. And to show you, Batman Begins was a hit. It wasn't as big a hit as I think that a lot of people were hoping at the time. But to show what they were up against, Batman and Robin had come out 8 years prior to this. And there were still people who were thinking this was still part of that series, because I remember at the end of Batman Begins, he shows the Joker card, and this one guy who I worked with at the movie theater said, "I don't understand. They killed the Joker in that first movie." And I was like, it's not the same. It's not the same thing, man.
Fire that guy.
Yeah, it's not the same. Not the same thing, man.
You know what's cool about this movie is that it doesn't do the too many villain trick.
Well, none of the first movies do that.
No, but Scarecrow gets thrown in there almost, but he's a part of the story, and I love Cillian Murphy's performance, man. In any other movie, of course, he was brought back in the other two, but like in any other movie where he's really the featured baddie, I think it'd be great to watch.
Are you telling me his name is pronounced Killian?
Yep. It's it's Irish. It's where they pronounce the hard
fucking
C.
internet age where I just
like
read something for 10 years.
Well, it's not like, see, all these names, it's not like you hear them all the time.
Right.
It's not like all these like directors who have these, names they shouldn't have and everything like that. It's not like we hear anybody saying these things over and over. I probably said Cillian Murphy 1,000,000 times before finally I saw an interview with him.
Wow.
And they were like, "It's Cillian Murphy." And I was like,
mind is
"Oh,
blown.
okay. All right. So your name's Cillian. I got it."
Batman Begins, solely responsible for 2 of my top 20 favorite lines of all time. And that's the gangster at the dock when the cop asks him what's in the shipment. And he's like, "Don't trouble yourself with the secrets of scary people." And then the other one I love is when Batman is trying to race Rachel back to the cave, and the cop's like, he's not on a road, he's flying on rooftops.
Yeah.
I just love it. I anticipate those lines when I'm watching that movie.
So last week we're talking about how we're not going to talk about Crash because it IMDb like staunchly makes it a 2004 movie because of festivals and shit like that. But it came out in 2005. It came out in May of 2005 for most people, and it won Best Picture over Brokeback Mountain. As a surprise, to say the least, because Jack Nicholson, when he read it, was like, and the Best Picture is Crash. Wow. Is what he said. I really do love Crash. In fact, back in 2005, it was probably my favorite movie that year. Will it be my favorite movie this year?
Oh.
Keep listening. But I enjoyed it a lot, even though, yes, it is very manipulative. It's Paul Haggis, straight off of $1 Million Baby and all that. This time he's actually directing too. But it puts all these beats in there, where it's like, let's make it seem like the little girl's about to get shot and all this other type of stuff. And but I love the frank discussion in this movie.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Don Cheadle is great in it. But I really enjoyed how frank the discussion was, and it was refreshing to hear that type of talk in a mainstream movie. And I thought it was very good because of it. But yes, very manipulative.
Yeah, it's 20% too overwrought for me, and very on the nose. No more so than Matt Dillon's character. But it is frank. You got to give it to him, and it was something that you definitely hadn't seen outside of like a Spike Lee movie.
Yeah.
So you give points for that.
Yeah, I think this movie won Best Picture because it did that thing where it only won because there were 2 or 3 other good contenders, right? Do you remember what the other nominees were?
Well, Brokeback Mountain was the favorite for this.
But Pride and Prejudice was nominated, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Good Night and Good Luck?
Yeah, Good Night and Good Luck was one.
War of the Worlds?
No. Definitely
Fever
not.
Pitch. It's Fever Pitch.
It'd be Fever Pitch, yes. So it was Crash, Munich, Good Night and Good Luck, Brokeback Mountain, and Capote. And all those movies have their strengths.
Yeah.
But they're not. None of them are perfect.
Right.
None of them. But Crash seemed to have won, and we don't know the entire machinations of the Academy and everything. But I believe everybody votes for Best Picture. Whereas in the Writers Award writers, cinematographers, so on. Best Picture, everybody. And Crash had a huge cast and a whole bunch of influence in that race, basically. And a lot of people thought that maybe it got the nod because of that. Also because there's still a lot of old people in Hollywood. Yeah. And the idea of a Brokeback Mountain winning Best Picture would have, they would have killed over and died probably. So they didn't vote for a movie like that. But you want to talk about Brokeback Mountain for a second because this is a fantastic fucking movie.
Yeah.
Ang Lee again, great. He does everything right in this, and I feel like it's not exploitative at all. Although there's like a really weird sex scene in this movie that a lot of people can't get their heads around on, because it's one of those where it just doesn't seem right. Like there's Heath Ledger's like almost like forcing the issue on Jake Gyllenhaal in that, but Heath Ledger's amazing in this movie.
Yes, he is.
He's very deservedly got nominated for an Oscar in this. He is not the type of character that you associate with like, okay, here's a gay rancher, and all that type of stuff. We're sort of like
Big Gay Al.
like Big Gay Al or something. Like you guys.
Now I want to see that version of Brokeback.
Wouldn't that be so much better if they did the stereotypical way? And Jake Gyllenhaal's not either. I mean, both of these guys try to be with women and everything like that.
No, that's why it works.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are playing it quote unquote straight,
Right.
and they're in this situation, and just attraction
Well, and I
comes
think
out.
I think they're living in an era where they have to, as the movie shows you, right? Because Jake Gyllenhaal is killed by the end of it, and it's heavily implied that somebody found out he was gay and they beat the shit out of him. And that's what Heath Ledger's saying the entire movie, right? We cannot be together the way you want.
Yeah.
And there's this crushing line where he says, if you can't change it, you just got to endure it. I'm paraphrasing. But man, this movie is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is.
Heartbreaking. And I don't know if I've ever seen a movie where establishing shots and the score under the establishing shots set the mood better.
Yeah.
The first hour of this movie is magic.
Yeah.
When it gets into the second hour, especially toward the end, when Heath Ledger and Jake is dead and Heath Ledger goes to his parents and all that, at that point, I'm so depressed, I'm ready to be done. But that first hour when they're out there ranching with the sheep and getting to know each other, and man, it's just a heavenly shot film.
The movie's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And much like Crash is gorgeous too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got kind of almost a similar aesthetic as Traffic almost.
Yeah.
But this one, man, you're right. That's what really sticks with me more so than that second half is how beautiful everything is.
Yeah.
And this year, Crash won 3 Oscars and Brokeback Mountain won 3 Oscars. And it split the vote between director and picture. Ang Lee won for directing.
Yeah.
You were talking about the music. That's Gustavo Santaolalla, who did The Insider, the Spanish guitar stuff in that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So he won, and Larry McMurtry won for adapting the screenplay. But there were, a ton of nominations for acting in this one. Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michelle Williams all got nominated. And, the cinematography got nominated as well. Crash got nominated for a ton of awards. You had Matt Dillon was the only actor out of that group. But Paul Haggis got the win for the writing and everything. So it was basically between those two movies when it came down to it. And I enjoy them both. I feel like now looking back at it, Brokeback Mountain should have definitely won.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's what we got.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned Pride and Prejudice, so let's talk about that for a minute. This the Keira Knightley version, because there's several versions of this film, and there's a reason for that. The story's outstanding. This is Keira Knightley's, I think, defining work as an actress to this point. She carries this movie, and the cast is great all around her. Donald Sutherland is maybe as delightful as he's ever been in any movie in this. But my wife fell in love with this movie hard. So I've seen it probably 20 times.
Oh, really?
She has the score from the film on her Spotify.
Huh.
So she'll be walking through the kitchen making dinner or whatever, and I'll hear and I'll go, oh, I know what that is. Pride and Prejudice music. And the music's outstanding in this movie, and it's gorgeous looking. Right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. And, we've seen millions of Pride and Prejudice adaptations before.
Even with zombies.
Yes, and with zombies as well.
Thank God.
Keira Knightley, we still weren't sure about her as an actress yet at this point.
Right.
And she will later go into a movie that Joe Wright also directs called Atonement, which she's great in that too. And there was a point where she started hearing sort of coded language in reporters' questions like, why is it, do you think, that you're so good in these movies with Joe Wright and everything, basically implying you're not good anywhere else?
Yeah.
I think she's turned into a terrific actress
agree.
over the years, by the way. But at this point, we're still kind of like, I don't know what we feel about her.
Well, even in this year, she does Domino, which falls flat.
Oh, yeah.
But she's outstanding in this.
Yeah, she's so great in this. And just, another character that you just fall in love with and everything in a movie. And, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, good film.
Okay, so let's go through the laundry list of franchise pictures here that started to come out.
Yeah,
they are the top movies of 2005, and no surprise there because they littered this year with all this type of stuff. Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith gives us the ending to all that nonsense.
I have the high ground, Anakin.
Got the high ground. And we don't need to talk about it very much more, but it was number one movie of 2005.
Is it the best of the prequels?
I think it is. No, I think Phantom Menace might still be the best out of all of them. Even though this one has the dark ending and all that. I mean, come on. The birth scene where she's like, Luke, Leia.
Yeah.
And Darth Vader's no and all that. It's just none of it resonates like the way I think everybody had a picture in their head as to how Darth Vader would be introduced, and it wasn't this.
Yeah. Nobody except Lucas thought it should be this.
Yeah. Like it should have been more dramatic than this. We see him in the molten lava and everything, and the Emperor takes him out, and then we start seeing they put the machine parts on him and everything. I could have done without that.
No, Lucas can't do drama.
Yeah.
He can't do drama. Any of those fucking scenes where it's Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman.
Oh my God.
Oh Jesus.
It's painful to watch this. He can't. It's dialogue, it's direction, it's emotion. He's just concerned with the visuals and the story and that kind of thing. He can't get to the heart of these things, and that's why those things fail. That's why Empire was so great, because it wasn't him. Yeah. At the helm.
Yeah. And just, it's the continue of that digital candy land that he's putting in these things. Everything is way, way too colorful and too it's sort of the criticism of Pixar's early animation. There's everything looks a little too shiny to me.
Mm-hmm.
And this is too much green screen, man. It's way too much of that. And it's, you can tell that they're just sort of in a studio. I'd say the digital effects are colorful and pretty, but you don't need to see them all the time. There's no humanity.
Oh, yeah.
There's no humanity in it.
That's the whole process of that final scene on the Inferno planet, where it's that machinery in the factory line and everything. It's like, come the fuck on, man.
Yeah.
It's basically very similar to the end of that Fantastic Four movie with Miles Teller.
Yeah.
It's just a digital mass of lack of feeling.
Yeah. By the way, a Fantastic Four movie came out this year. We don't need to talk about it very much. It was shitty, but Chris Evans was really good in it.
Yeah.
I think that's what got him. That's what got him. Captain America and everything was how good he was in this.
Yeah. No, I agree. But yeah, that movie's terrible. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it. The other big, there's more other big movies. Here's how not to do a franchise. They killed the goose, as they say in Glengarry Glen Ross. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. First off, I think they overestimated the idea of that whole 7-book series, basically. They were going to do all 7, like Harry Potter and all that. Most people know this one.
Yeah.
And this was the one that made all the money.
Yeah.
And then when they came out with Prince Caspian later, it was just kind of I've seen that. Do I need to see any more of this?
How do you miss on this movie? It's such a great book. It's a great book.
I don't think this movie's a complete miss.
Yeah, I don't think it's a miss.
I think it is a watered down, overly sanitized kid version of Lord of the Rings. I think the actors are fine. I think the CGI is fine. I adored this book when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of them. My mother read them to me before I could read, and then I read them myself when I could read. But I think the problem is that the book is that. The book is a watered-down, harmless version of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but it's got all that subtext from C.S. Lewis's theology and all that stuff. But I'm talking relative to
don't act like that stuff's not in Lord of the Rings, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because Tolkien and C.S. Lewis were good buds.
Yeah.
And they were writing these books similar times in their life. I think they both have heavy-handed religious imagery.
Yeah,
but you're right in that this one is heavier.
Yeah, it is. And but it's also lighter as a movie,
Right. Yep.
So I don't know. I think it was so watered down relative to the source material that it didn't work for me.
It also would have been interesting to see what they would have been able to do if they had been able to shoot all of these, because they're out of order, first off.
Right.
Yeah.
The next thing is that some of the stories are very spare. There is just one book where 2 of the children are going in these pools and going out into other dimensions and worlds. And they end up in one where they see the White Witch and she's gathering all these, all of her army and everything. That's pretty much the whole book. It hasn't had much to do with really, it doesn't. So they would have probably done what they always do with these, where they would have inserted battles that weren't in the books. Sure. And they would have, they would have done the Alice in Wonderland treatment to that and everything. But But like, yeah, it would have been interesting to see how far they could have gone. I think they bit into this way too early. It's kind of one of those like, we didn't really have a plan on this. To make a whole 7 movie franchise with this, because they had that and they didn't have much after that.
They made 3 of these though, right?
Yeah, they got all the way to Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
All right, now I read a couple weeks ago that a new production company has bought the rights and is going to keep going with the franchise.
Sweet.
They're going to make a 4th movie, but it's none of the same people behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm more surprised at this point that they're not just rebooting Lion, Witch, and the
Well,
Wardrobe
and they
again.
could, if they wanted to, they could try to, I guess make it more about, religious audiences and stuff like that, because I think normal audiences may not be on board with it.
I just thought of a good idea. Mel Gibson's Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
The Passion of Aslan.
Yes, I'd be all about it, man. I'd be there.
As long as Liam Neeson's on board.
Also coming out, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you love this. I think this is the movie or the book and the movie that make the least sense out of all of them, because Voldemort's plan is so fucking stupid.
Oh yeah.
Let's go through all of this trouble so that he'll touch a cup and he'll come to me when it comes time. He may not even win this shit.
Yeah, and the only somehow he replaces a teacher with a apologist potion or whatever, however you pronounce it.
Right.
And that guy's going to be able to manipulate an entire school year to the point where Harry will touch that cup.
Yeah.
Even though once everybody goes into the maze, no one has control over anything.
Right.
It could very easily have been, Fleur who touched the cup, or the Russian dude or whatever.
It could have been anybody.
You're right that it makes zero sense,
Yeah.
but I have the most fun watching this movie.
Well, and the reason why I think, and I do enjoy it too, it's not like it's bad or anything like that, but I think Rowling herself actually said, I want to make something different than Quidditch all the time.
Yeah.
I want to do something that's a different kind of thing, like, sort of like the World Cup of wizards, basically, is what it is.
Only deadly.
Yeah, only deadly.
You realize how many times they legitimately should have killed students in this movie?
Oh, yeah.
That fucking dragon breaks off his chain.
Yeah.
That shouldn't even be possible.
Right.
Right? Like, you have not
should have
done your safeguard work leading up to this tournament.
Absolutely right. And so I agree. Like, there's so many things about that. But yeah, it's a different type of Harry Potter. It's sort of the pivot point for Harry Potter.
Sure.
Because it leads into all the, the real dark stuff later on and everything. But
well, and even the kids, there's that dance, and then Ron gets to be jealous without realizing he was jealous.
Right.
Hermione going to this dance with this guy. And I just think it's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely the one that was, written and made for the fun in mind more than anything, more than the main story. Sort of like a departure, but it was a pivot point between the good and the dark stuff that's coming on later. Steven Spielberg came out with 2 movies this year. One was War of the Worlds, which I really liked.
Yep.
I've read the book War of the Worlds, and I've seen the original War of the Worlds and all that, but I think Spielberg really got back to his roots with this
in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I especially love that shot where like everybody's running through the streets and there's the video camera on the ground, and the camera zooms into that viewfinder and everything.
Yeah.
It's so good, but it might be a little bit long. The Tim Robbins stuff kind of starts aggravating after a while, but overall, I thought this was solid.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise provides just a real fastball right down the middle. It's an unintentional baseball reference because he can't throw a baseball in this movie.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, he's not spectacular, but he does everything that the movie needs him to do. I like it a lot. I think the ending is, I guess, a bit of a cheat, but you have to follow the source material.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The source material cheated, so what else are you going to do?
Yeah, this is the all-time, they came to Earth and they got sick because of something that's on Earth.
We defended ourselves by doing nothing.
Yeah, we didn't do shit to get these things out of here.
Yeah.
That's how sucky we are as a planet.
Yeah,
We're
there's
disease to aliens.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way to win this, but heavenly microbes are on our planet. Also coming out, Peter Jackson's King Kong came out. Now, Peter Jackson took his Lord of the Rings, whatever.
And cut nothing out of this film.
Yeah. He
No.
took, what did we would call it? His I don't know, his fuck you money or his fuck you.
I would just say he's got a lot of capital built up.
He's
after
got
that.
cachet at this point. And he makes this 3-hour King Kong, which has all these like fantastic creatures on the island and everything. And I admit, when I first watched this movie, I really loved all that stuff. Like, Andy Serkis going through and getting attacked by all those
T-Rexes?
Yeah, well, and all those bugs and shit that's going to come around and all that. When we send this, though, I was just like, God damn it, end already.
Seriously.
There was a lot of build up to this, though. Everybody, I think all three of us were really looking forward to watching this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are moments in this that are great. There really are. It's just that the pieces don't add up to a whole that's great. And Jack Black, in a role that you would think maybe is almost perfect for him, somehow misses the mark here drastically. Doing it sort of a P.T. Barnum kind of thing. It doesn't work at all.
No.
But there are moments, like the silent scene where the natives on the island are pole vaulting onto the ship is really creepy. And all of Andy Serkis's work as Kong is outstanding.
Especially with him and Naomi Watts.
Exactly.
Like those scenes where it's just quiet and then, she's testing out basically
I feel that
what this
bond rings true in the movie that they have formed. And just more proof that Andy Serkis deserves Oscars for this motion capture work, because it's not just a bodysuit, people. Like all of his emotions and facial expressions, it's all digitized based on what he's done. But again, I can't recommend you watch this movie.
No.
Just go on YouTube and look up the best clips.
Yeah, I believe Peter Jackson has immense talent, and I think that this movie sort of like he bought into his own bullshit a little bit. It's sort of the thing that we hear about from the directors in the 70s in that Easy Riders Raging Bulls book that I mentioned before. Once these guys made that movie or that trilogy or whatever in this case, that gave them all this cachet, they realized they suddenly said, I don't need to listen to anybody anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I think happened to him. And I don't know if Peter Jackson's really gotten back from it.
No,
he hasn't.
The Hobbits only take it further.
Yeah, it's even worse than The Hobbit, and then The Lovely Bones wasn't very good either. He really hasn't.
Can I ask you a question? Why would anyone ever make the movie The Lovely Bones? This is one of the most doesn't need to exist movies ever.
Yeah.
This girl was killed, and it's 2.5 hours of Mark Wahlberg freaking out and crying and suspecting Stanley Tucci. It's like the creepiest fucking... I know we'll talk about it more when we get to that year, but this movie really pisses me off with its needlessness.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those unfilmable books, too,
right,
because it's mostly narration all the way through it. But anyway, what else is in 2005, guys?
Can I talk about Match Point?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Not to be confused with Wimbledon.
No.
Another movie about tennis.
That's correct.
That is completely not good.
That's right.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting because this movie has very little to do with tennis after the first
That's
bit of
correct.
it.
Yeah.
I go back and forth on how much I like this movie.
Really?
Because I'm a huge Woody Allen fan, but this doesn't seem like a Woody Allen movie.
No,
to
it
me.
doesn't, but it's great.
It's awesome.
It is, yeah. It starts off his whole European period there. And, once he gets to like Midnight in Paris and even Blue Jasmine and stuff like that, it seems more like a Woody Allen with the dialogue and all that stuff. He actually did a Woody Allen movie earlier on this year with Melinda and Melinda.
Mm-hmm.
But the dialogue here, the performances, the plot is a little bit crimes and misdemeanors, but it's not that.
No.
It just doesn't seem
it's not a
like it.
funny movie.
No, it's not a funny movie at all. And man, his use of music in this is unparalleled.
Yeah.
Besides maybe Manhattan, because he plays this same romanza, this part from this opera, Donizetti opera. It's One Furtive Tear is how it's translated, and it's played on this like old 78 and all scratchy and everything all the way through. It's so beautiful.
This was his sort of mid-aughts type of thing here. You're talking about his European sort of, He did Match Point, and then he did Vicky Cristina Barcelona right after this and everything. And Vicky Cristina Barcelona is a little bit funnier.
Yeah.
But he's definitely trying some things out in this period here where he's just like, I want to try doing this for a change or whatever. But I love Match Point just for all, I love the mystery. Well, it's not really a mystery. We know what's going on.
Yeah.
But like, I love how how Jonathan Rhys Meyers in this, like, sort of like plans his, how is he going to get out of this? You know?
It's accidental. His whole rise to money is almost accidental.
Yeah.
But then he does what he has to do to get out of this situation. And the last bit, that's what makes it kind of so not Woody Allen, is that last bit where he's talking to the people that are involved, when they come into the kitchen, and then the investigator like sits upright in bed and he's like, I know how he did it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a funny scene.
Yeah, it's great.
he killed her. He just comes out of his bed.
It plays with expectations a lot. And so he wanted to shoot this in New York, but was denied the permits or anything. So he moved to London.
Which is weird. Why would that happen?
Fucking Woody Allen.
Yeah.
But so he moved to London and had to rewrite the screenplay and recast it.
Mm-hmm.
And the UK wanted only British actors in here, except for Scarlett Johansson, obviously. And I love that happened, because I think if you had set it back in New York, it would have been Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Yeah. And this is sort of his Scarlett Johansson phase. She's like in everything in these like next 3 or 4 movies.
She's really good in this.
Yeah, she is.
She's extremely. The first part of this movie is very sexy.
Yes, it is.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be the only pervy guy.
No.
This movie will make you horny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But great movie if you haven't seen it. One of Woody Allen's best, especially one of his best in the last 20 years for certain.
Absolutely. And Emily Mortimer in this movie is just adorable.
Yeah, she
all
is.
the way through, man. It's one
of
like the strongest Woody Allen female characters of the last, like you said, 20, 25 years.
It's one of those characters too. It's one of those where you're like, why would he cheat on a girl like this? Whatever. It's like, it's never about who you have. It's it's who you can score later. And Scarlett Johansson is one of those girls. It's just like, you cannot, deny Scarlett Johansson.
She even says it. She's like, I know I'm sexy. I know, men just want me.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times she said that in real life.
Probably a lot.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Let's talk about another movie that'll make you horny. Wallace and Gromit, The
Yes.
Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Now, in college, I discovered the Wallace and Gromit shorts.
Mhm.
There were 3 main ones.
Yep.
The self-walking pants was the
The
first one.
wrong trousers.
Yeah, the wrong trousers. That's the first one I saw. I went back and found the other 2. I had the VHS. Josh and I would watch them all the time. So when Wallace and Gromit got their own movie, that was a big deal to me. And I was really hoping they didn't screw it up. And boy, did they not screw it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
This movie's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just wacky, goofy fun. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
Definitely.
We don't have to talk much more about it, but it is in my top 10 that I might vote for Best Picture of the Year.
It's great. It's that dry British humor that I love so much. It's not broad-based, animated, even with Pixar doing their type of humor.
Right.
It's a completely different thing. It's almost more geared towards adults.
Almost.
But as a kid, you can love it. Man, yeah, I love this movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since it came out, so I don't remember too much about it. I do remember enjoying it.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, that's all. I mean, again, it's not going to change your life, but it's awesome.
And the same goes for a similar movie, Tim Burton's The Corpse Bride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, here's the Corpse Bride's problem. It's not The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you had never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas, The Corpse Bride might have become that.
Yeah.
Because there's really charming songs, that dissonant where the ladybugs and spiders are singing like, if you only knew the you that we know. And it's very Tim Burton-y. It just doesn't match the quality total of Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's almost unfortunate, I think.
It's actually Johnny Depp's probably his best performance after Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one.
Yeah, it's
It
pretty
could
good,
be.
man.
Yeah.
It could be, yeah.
It's certainly his best performance of this year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, we'll briefly mention Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Here's the thing that I want to say about these Tim Burton remakes that keep coming out. And we may have talked about this before. It seemed like every project that I've read up on with Tim Burton, whether it's Batman, Planet of the Apes, any of those, he's like, I was never a real fan of the original.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do you want to do this then? What appeals to you about it then? And he goes and makes his own thing, and it's almost 100% of the time it's awful.
Yeah, well,
And-
this is you can tell that he doesn't like this source material because
Yeah.
it is so different It's interesting, actually, that they call it Charlie and the Chocolate Factory
Yeah.
instead of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, because it focuses on Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
This portrayal is just, he gets it totally wrong.
It's this
I
point
don't even know what he's going for.
where I believe Depp has bought into his own bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I think that happens with actors too. He did all these great things in the 90s, never really got much credit for it. He does Pirates, where everybody was like, I don't know what the fuck this guy's doing. I want to pull the plug on Johnny Depp. And then suddenly he's the biggest thing about Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, anything he does is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And he's just indulgent as far as whatever he does as an actor. And that's what comes across in this.
Yeah, and he's going to be in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them sequel.
Yeah, yes, he is.
I wasn't going to watch those anyway, but now I'm special not going to watch them.
All right, what else, guys?
We'll briefly mention Walk the Line because we talked about Ray last time. I like this movie a lot. This is Johnny Cash's biopic. The only thing I want to say about this is that Joaquin Phoenix is terrific as Johnny Cash, but Reese Witherspoon as June Carter Cash steals the movie.
Yeah.
She's unbelievable in this role. And it's almost like she was, because she's from Nashville and everything, it's almost like she was born to play this. And they actually performed their own songs on this and learned how to sing like the original characters. But I mean, what's different about this biopic is that it really does focus on their relationship that was so tight that he only lasted, I think, like a year after she died.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think it's very charming.
They have tremendous chemistry. Like, it's one of the things that I remember coming out of this thing is that, Joaquin Phoenix obviously really dives into these roles and everything. And like, it was sort of this discussion, like, did he and Reese Witherspoon actually, do something on this or whatever? Like it was, I guess it was like some weird rumors that had come out or whatever. Maybe I'm just making that up. But it was to the point of like, that when they were hired for Inherent Vice or whatever, they said that Paul Thomas Anderson said they have this way of talking to each other, basically from Walk the Line, that, they speak their own language to each other and everything. It's just kind of weird, like how they're that, good together and everything as far as working partners and everything.
Yeah, it's too long and it focuses on like the minutia too much.
One thing I love about Walk the Line, I've always kept this in my head, is it was more James Mangold afterwards talking about this. Cash watches this terrible movie called Folsom Prison, and that's what ends up being the inspiration for the Folsom Prison song. And he's like, just imagine if that movie didn't exist. It's a terrible movie. It's a terrible movie, but he just ran across it one day and he created something great based on that. So it's one of those things you always gotta remember that there's reasons why there's bad art in this world.
It inspires good art.
It inspires good art, and it encourages us to do better.
Let's pander to the browncoats a bit and talk about Serenity.
Oh, yeah.
You guys ever seen it?
I have.
Oh, yeah.
I love this movie.
Yeah.
This is one of the greatest crimes in our current entertainment media landscape, is that Nathan Fillion is known more for a shitty TV show than he is for this role, because he is perfect in this role. He's just enough Han Solo, but just enough not. I could watch this anytime. Now, it's harmless. You can pick it up in the middle. You can, stop halfway through and come back later. But this is based on Firefly, the TV show that Fox killed notoriously after 13 episodes. I think maybe only 12. Had a rabid fan base when they canceled it. But that has only grown to the point where they decided, well, we should make a movie out of it, right?
Yeah.
And this is Joss Whedon. Great cast. A lot of the story beats here were touched on in episodes if you watch the show. But I don't think fans really minded about that. And then, could one of you pronounce the villain actor's name so I don't look stupid? It's Ejiofor or whatever.
Oh, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Okay. He's fantastic in this movie. He's electric, basically, and he's playing this character that's basically this badass, and continues to be a badass the whole way through. But the first time he encounters him in a prostitution brothel or whatever, that scene is brutal, and you could kill him if she hadn't lit the incense boom.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love this movie. I know there's a certain part of the public that just doesn't know about or care about Firefly and Serenity, but those who do would kill us if we didn't talk about that.
Well,
if you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, this is perfect for you because it's the same type of snappy, witty dialogue. And, almost self-deprecating characters. It's great.
There's that in the very opening scene, Nathan Fillion's like doing a shipwide broadcast. He's like, we may experience some turbulence and explode. He runs into Adam Baldwin. He's like, I don't want to explode. There's lots of humor, really good action.
And the great line, too, I haven't had anything twixt my nethers since that wasn't hooked up to batteries or something like that. I think Firefly, don't you think that would be a show that if you came out with it now somewhere on cable would be an amazing hit?
Yeah, the problem for Firefly, like a lot of shows, is that it was on a network.
Yeah.
And the networks have so much higher standards for what a show needs to get in viewers and advertising revenue, whereas a cable channel can have a show that pulls in 1 million viewers an episode and make a profit from that.
This is going to be straight up sci-fi or Netflix or something like that. Now I think it would be huge.
Well, especially if isn't he ending that show on TV where he's a writer, or is that still going on?
Oh, Castle?
Yeah.
It's gone through ups and downs. It's going to be canceled. It's going to be renewed. I don't know where it is now.
Man, I just noticed the other day that they're on season 3 of The Odd Couple with Matthew Perry.
Yeah.
I thought that got canceled after 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Still going.
Yeah.
I just don't pay attention to network TV very much because the quality's moved elsewhere.
Yep.
Okay, so two pretty significant comedies came out. One, Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
And a 40-Year-Old Virgin. Basically officially bringing back R-rated comedy at this point because we had sort of suffered through PG-13 comedy for a long time. They were always afraid to cross the line with those things. Now, because of Judd Apatow and Todd Phillips, and I think in some ways because of Kevin Smith, we're finally able to get some, people just throwing some fucks out there every once in a while. Who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
Wedding Crashers was a tremendous hit. In fact, it was one of the biggest R-rated movies of all time.
Oh, really?
I think it still is,
Wow.
in fact. But you're a big fan of it.
I love
so
this.
Go, yeah,
I love the way that Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn get along together. It's almost like his brother did in Old School. They had this good repartee, basically. But all the bit characters in this really work well, like Isla Fisher and Bradley Cooper. And Christopher Walken, man. He plays this big Senate or secretary guy. And when they get back to his house where they're just, lounging around, he goes in to see Vince Vaughn, who's tied up by his son. And he's talking almost to himself. He's trying to talk through a problem. And he looks over and he just kind of casually grabs the rope. And he's like, huh. And then he keeps talking. It's so great. But the protagonists aren't very good people, too. They literally are crashing weddings to fuck women.
Yeah.
And, I mean, where it gets to, its whole denouement is where Will Ferrell is I'm starting to crash funerals, man. You can fucking pick up anybody. They're
Will
all
Ferrell's
weeping and
cameo is hilarious in this.
it is.
Yeah. But also 40-Year-Old Virgin came out in this year, and I think that might still be Judd Apatow's best.
I agree.
Yeah, I love 40-Year-Old Virgin. Everybody is perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Everybody. And it's just relentlessly funny.
Yeah.
Just funny. More so than even the R-rated change. It just felt like this was one of the first funny comedies we'd gotten in a while.
Yeah.
Everything else had been, pulling its punches on the jokes or what have you. And it's interesting that Seth Rogen goes on after this to almost adopt this persona of the pudgy, lovable guy. And in this movie, he's the tatted goatee, hard ass.
Yeah.
But he still plays it fine. Steve Carell shines, I think, in this movie and makes it work.
This is star making for Steve Carell.
Agreed, and deservingly so. Whenever I see this on TV, I stop and watch it.
This is what led to The Office and all that. And we found out later on that he's actually just a really good actor in general.
Oh, yeah.
He was mainly known for comedy and everything, but we've seen him in some great stuff since then.
Yep.
But But yeah, man, there are so many great lines and moments in this and everything. Like, I love how Seth Rogen tells Steve Carell to approach Elizabeth Banks in that story. He's like, be like Dave Caruso and Jade, just always ask questions, never answer questions.
And it works.
And it works. He's like, she's like, do you want to do it yourself? He's like, do you like to do it yourself? It's just stuff like that. And she's just like getting on with it, like, yeah. And then Leslie Mann has a great cameo in this. Just like, I'm gonna get some fucking French toast.
And she drives so terribly. Of course, she's wasted.
Yeah.
He should die in that scene.
I think
probably.
a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people. I know I've been in this situation where someone who is adamant about being able to drive, and then they get in the car and things like, you're just like, okay, I'm afraid for my life.
Yep.
I've been everybody's been in that polite sort of like,
I'm gonna die.
Yeah. And Steve Carell has the worst moment as possible, but it's such a funny movie. It's so great. All right, what else, guys?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Sky High, just briefly.
Yeah.
Because it came out of nowhere. I don't think anybody expected anything from it, and it's a really fun, charming, coming of age superhero story that obviously didn't have the biggest budget. Some of the effects are a little cheap, but it's got. I don't know. I just really I don't know, guys, how you guys feel about it, but it's one of those movies where I walked out and I was like, I'm surprised how much I liked that.
Love Sky High, and it's very much Harry Potter for superheroes.
Sure.
But very fun, a lot of appealing people in this.
Yeah, there are.
Kurt Russell has a great line at the beginning of it where he's like, he knows he's getting older and everything. He's like, maybe next time I try to hit that asteroid, it'll be me that crumbles into a million pieces.
It's so self-important. I love it.
But a great cast. We've got it's Michael Angelino, and who's from Almost Famous, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's fantastic and very appealing.
Yeah,
Kelly Preston.
Everybody's really good in it. The guy from Broken Lizard is the bus driver.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually his name, like what Tommy Sims bus driver or whatever his name actually is. Sorry to any Tommy Sims out there. I just pulled that out of my ass.
But yeah, I loved it.
So there were two highly regarded horror movies that came out that have really persisted in the public consciousness, and one of them I hate, and one of them I love. It's The Devil's Rejects, which was Rob Zombie giving us one of the worst families in the history of families.
Yep.
And the other is The Descent. And The Descent is a great movie.
One of the big jewels to come out of 2005 was The Descent. Really enjoyed this.
Yeah. This is how you're supposed to build tension. The whole thing just moves. It's great. I'm
pretty sure The Descent was a movie that came out in 2005, but then later had its major release in 2006 because I believe I was in New York when this movie came out, and I remember, I'll never forget, opening night of The Descent, there was this woman who walked out of the theater, and she was like, "Oh my God! She's like by herself. She's like, just leaving, leaving the theater. You're like, oh my God! Just what she did was she's going out of. But The Descent is frightening, man.
Oh, it's so scary.
Yeah, man. It's got one of the best jump scares ever made in a movie before, and I love it. The Devil's Rejects. I know a lot of people who love that movie. Yep. I hated it.
Yeah, me too.
But there are a lot of people who think that's a great movie. Yeah, and it sort of got Quentin Tarantino's attention too, because Zombie does one of the fake trailers on on Grindhouse and everything. But yeah, Devil's Rejects, man, I did not like that movie at all. Now, to be fair, I mentioned that was one of the movies I saw in that 4-movie marathon there. One was so let's talk a little bit about those. The Island is Michael Bay's best movie.
Oh yeah,
agreed,
yeah, absolutely,
hands down.
It's still got a lot of Michael Bay in it. But I had forgotten how much Michael Bay was in it until it came on one day. I was watching it, and it was during the Steve Buscemi scenes and everything. And I was like sitting there going, "Oh, I'd forgotten how much Michael Bay is in this movie." Yeah. But I mean, I'm a sucker for this type of story.
Yeah. I think it's kind of almost like a Black Mirror episode.
It kind of is.
If Michael Bay directed a Black Mirror episode.
Is this the highest concept Michael Bay movie?
Yeah,
And is
absolutely.
it possible
Easily.
that's why it's his best?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson are just charming as fuck in this movie.
Yeah.
With their naivete but the high concept drives everything in the movie, and I have said more than once, I am a sucker for a really cool high concept sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
The movie I'm trying to think of is Logan's Run.
Oh, yeah.
It's got that same kind of setup and everything, and I think there's been quite a few of those type of Logan's Run type movies over the years. This is blown up into Michael Bay proportions, but I think this is his best, and I'm kind of shocked. I've heard debates on what Michael Bay's best movie is, and I've heard Bad Boys, and I've heard The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever this movie comes up, people tend to dismiss it.
Oh, that's crazy.
And people dismissed it in theaters too because it didn't do anything.
Well, I mean, it's not great or anything.
No,
but
it's not great.
It's measuring against the Michael Bay standard.
But it's not great. But yeah, it's very entertaining. Like I said, I'm just a sucker for that type of story and the high concept sci-fi movie and everything. I'm all about it. There was another movie very very like this that came out later that did have Keira Knightley and what is that movie? Never Let Me Go. Have you ever seen that?
It is very similar.
Andrew
Garfield.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield's in it. And is it the one that I always confuse with Michelle Williams?
She dated
Carey Mulligan?
Carey Mulligan,
yeah.
Carey Mulligan's in it. And that's very good, but it's very like quieter.
It's
type of
more
movie.
about the relationships and the emotions.
Yeah.
This one's more about the action.
Yeah, but those movies are very similar. I would almost recommend watching like a whole like Logan's Run, The Island, and Never Let Me Go, like all in a row because they're all fun.
While we're on high concept sci-fi movies, I'll briefly mention The Jacket again.
Oh yeah.
Another
Keira Knightley.
Yeah, Keira Knightley was busy.
She was busy, and this is a weird ass fucking movie because the dude is in some kind of psych ward where to punish him they put him in this drawer that's basically where they put corpses in a morgue. But while he's in there, he visits the future and meets Keira Knightley and basically bumps into her frequently on these drawer trips to the future. They put him in a straitjacket before they put him in the drawer, which is why the movie's called The Jacket. It's weird as fuck, but I really, really like it. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I have not seen it since it came out, and it did come on cable recently. I saw it like a couple weeks ago. Saw a brief snippet of it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this movie's it's got some decent stuff."
Gives
in
me
it.
12 Monkeys vibes when I watch it.
Yeah. But I did not give it that kind of chance when I watched it originally. I don't think I liked it when I first watched it, but when it came on the other day, I was like, "Oh, this is decent actually." So I'm glad that you found some sort of
I am a sucker for time travel, man.
Yeah.
Unless you go way out, unless you're making Black Knight,
yeah,
a sucker for time travel.
Black Knight. I want to mention two movies because of their trailers. Jarhead came out. Jarhead's trailer is way better than the movie that we get. The movie is still good though.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the something in the way moment where he's all that is great.
I think the movie is better than a lot of people give it credit for.
Yeah.
It kind of falls apart towards the end, but it's after the part where Peter Sarsgaard, who had a big year this year, he was in Flight Plan, he was in Skeleton Key, where he just loses his shit.
Yeah.
And it is a great, great scene. The whole movie, I actually thought that this was going to be the direction that war movies would take from now on. Mm-hmm. Soldiers getting ready to soldier, they can't fire a single shot.
Yeah.
Because of machines and air cover and stuff like that. And it's where that frustration boils over with Peter Sarsgaard's character that is really touching. And it's an examination into the ennui of modern warfare, I guess.
Yeah.
And which is not, I guess, the most fun to watch. But, man, I just think it's great.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like, it's that's the thing that came out of this movie is that it's kind of boring when you're out in war and everything. You have very little chance to actually shoot your weapon or like get into any kind of shit at all.
And when they finally do, and they're just sitting around or they're standing around that big, huge bonfire, and Jamie Foxx and Peter Sarsgaard and Jake Gyllenhaal just start fucking firing their weapons.
Yeah.
And I mean, somebody's probably hit by these on the way down, but
Yeah.
like they just unleash, and Jamie Foxx is like sitting there just like this enormous gun just firing that shit off.
But much like Road to Perdition, Sam Mendes, sort of trying to follow American Beauty, and he's still kind of getting judged based on that movie. Everything that he comes out with. This isn't as good as Road to Perdition, but it's still a very high quality movie, and I think should deserve a little bit of an extra look if you haven't seen it. The other one that I wanted to mention based on its trailer is Red Eye, because it is another Cillian Murphy movie with Rachel McAdams. I remember first putting this trailer on a movie, and I was watching it go through, and I was like, oh, it's a romantic comedy with Cillian Murphy and Rachel McAdams, because that's the way it starts off.
Yeah.
It's like, they met at the airport, and they do that very cleverly. It's all this type of stuff like, oh, there's going to be a lot of like misunderstandings and missing each other. And then it gets on the plane, and suddenly Cillian Murphy's eyes turn red. And it's like, from the director of Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven. And actually, the movie is not bad at all.
Yeah,
it's actually
do you
pretty
like it?
good. Yeah. I mean,
the only problem, I actually like this a lot, but he turns into like a Terminator at the end.
yeah.
He's a robot. You can't kill him.
Absolutely, yeah. All right. Anything else?
Well, we're on a plane. Let's just go to Flight Plan real quick.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster. Somehow this becomes a psychological movie where she's basically starts doubting her own sanity about whether or not she brought her daughter on this plane, which I think is a little silly, even though there's this grand conspiracy and basically so many things working against her. I don't know that you would ever actually believe, no, I did not bring my daughter on this plane.
Yeah.
But she almost gets to that point. I thought the movie was a B-.
I thought it was okay. That I felt like it telegraphed who the bad guys were immediately, because Peter Sarsgaard and the chick from Wicker Man is in this. There's a point where he asks her for something, and it's just like a really innocuous scene that they just stick in there, and it sticks out like a sore thumb. And you're just like, oh, okay, they're the bad guys. They're the ones who were conspiring on this. It's one of those movies that they give you that, like, it's so intriguing. What happened? And then when you get your answer, it's not that satisfying.
Yeah, and both of those, Red Eye and Flight Plan, are kind of like the elevator episodes in TV, where it's this small contained space that feels restrictive, and that's just a cool place to set stories.
Yeah, that's why there have been so many of them. Passenger 57,
Yeah.
Turbulence.
Flight Plan reminded me somewhat, although this is not nearly what it was, but didn't Stephen King write something called 4 Past Midnight or something like that?
That sounds familiar.
Where somebody wakes up on the plane and nobody's on the plane.
That would be freaky.
Yeah, it's something like that. But anyway, what else came out in 2005, guys?
V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love it wholeheartedly. Like, I realized, like, this was Wachowski siblings produced, but they were not the directors.
Right.
It was basically a protege of theirs, I believe.
Yeah, I can't remember his name right now.
But they did lend him one of their best actors from the Matrix movies.
Yes.
And he knocks it out of the park. He's wearing a mask the entire movie and completely creates a character you connect with, emotes, and Natalie Portman's fantastic in this movie. But I feel like this movie doesn't have like a stellar reputation. I feel like most people are like, I liked it all right. But I fell in love. I fell head over heels in love.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
I've seen it probably 50 times.
Yeah. Of course, it's got a John Hurt performance where he's, an evil dictator.
Yeah, well, a lot of these performances are a little over the top. This is based on a graphic novel, I think, right? This is technically a comic book movie?
Yes, I believe so.
But anyway.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of this. I do like Hugo Weaving in it. I think this is a very interesting turn for Natalie Portman as well. But yeah, I watched it once, and then the second time when we send it, I was like, I don't know, I'm still not really getting this, but very stylish, and I can get into some of the things that are in this movie.
Yeah, it's interesting actually that two movies from 2005 really inspired the SNL digital shorts, because It was the Lazy Sunday, the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
And then it was the Natalie, Andy Samberg thing, where she's like a big badass. She's like, we love you, Natalie. I want to fuck you too.
Yeah.
She has since, I think, regretted that.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't think she knew at the time that it was going to be this viral touchstone of... And, she says a lot of filthy shit in that song.
I mean...
that's why it's funny.
But I'm like, get over it, too. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah,
you didn't know. Come on. This was directed by James McTeague, who later on didn't do much of anything like that we really know. He was part of the TV series Sense8, which makes sense. And he's done a couple others that are vaguely familiar, but he didn't really do much after that. And this movie did pretty decent. It was 70 million domestic and about 130 so worldwide. Also coming out, that a movie I cannot fucking stand is Sin City.
Oh, I saw a request for us to talk about Sin City, and I also hate it.
Yeah, this movie is boring as shit.
This is... how do I describe my hate for this movie? It's like you thought a visual gimmick was enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And I know this is based on a comic, and maybe they're aping the visual aesthetic of the comic or what have you.
Yeah, they're definitely doing that, because Frank Miller even gets a uncredited director's credit.
Frank Miller is deranged. For all of the good Batman stuff he's done, he's also done a bunch of shitty Batman stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when he has no checks and balances, it's just everything is fucking filthy and hard R.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie is basically a fuck you to the ratings board, I think, right? I can't stand it. I like a lot of the people involved.
I do too. I love this cast. It's got an 8.1 on the IMDb. That's how well received this movie was for people who, I guess for people who were Sin City fans. I don't know. I've watched this movie twice. I've never gotten it. I've always been bored. I've always wanted to fall asleep during it. Visuals, yes, are amazing. And it's got some like creepy stuff. Elijah Wood has got a nice little turn in this and everything. I just never got into it, man. Just never did. What about you? Did you?
I liked it more than you guys did.
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree that it's overall boring, but there's just so many different vignettes that I think there is stuff to like in there, like the Elijah Wood thing.
Yeah.
The Mickey Rourke thing just goes so fucking long, but there are still moments in there that I like. The Bruce Willis thing is a little overwhelming. So, yeah, I'm kind of in the middle with it.
I like the Clive Owen stuff, all right. But that Bruce Willis, Jessica Alba stuff is just, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and the scenes with Josh Hartnett and Marley Shelton, and we see him in two different scenes, beginning and the end. Those are really good in Sin City as well. But everything else in there, I wouldn't care, if you just cut it completely out. I mean, I don't like Carla Gugino, though. Carla Gugino.
Let's talk a little bit about Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh, yeah.
Is this...
fantastic movie.
Is this the best movie this guy's made?
It's my favorite.
Shane Black, I mean?
Yeah, Shane Black.
Now, he's written a lot of good movies that he didn't direct, but he directed this, right?
Yeah. He this is definitely the best movie he's written and directed, and man, this is so funny all the way throughout.
Yeah, it is.
And I love how smart it is too. Like just general things, the conversations and everything where, like Downey says, I slept badly last night. And she's like, you slept bad. He's like, what? And he's like, well, if badly is an adverb, means that the method by which you slept was bad. And then later on, Downey tries to do that same thing to Val Kilmer. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh man, they're great. Val Kilmer, who was in Purgatory or something between Tombstone and this, just has a great performance. It's Gay Perry. Man, he's totally under control like the whole movie, but he's just hilarious,
By the way, this week, Val Kilmer, Michael Douglas came out and said that he had cancer, and that's why he's got the same thing I had, and it's not looking good for him, and that's why you haven't seen Val lately.
Really?
The next day, Val Kilmer's on Facebook going, I love Michael Douglas. I'm sure he didn't mean any harm, but I don't have cancer.
Wow.
I made 3 movies this year, and one of them I'm taking to a festival tomorrow, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, how does that happen?
Michael Douglas is unhinged at this point.
Well,
like, cunnilingus caused his
but
cancer.
Yeah.
Anyway, what made me think was that maybe he did have it, but got it taken care of.
Yeah, he got better.
Doesn't want it out there that he had it for whatever reason. It's his medical information. But anyway, Michael Douglas calling fools out.
If there's any movie that I'd like to recommend out of this year, it's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That's a movie that you're going to clearly enjoy if you haven't seen it yet, because these are all at their top of their game type of stuff. Downey is fantastic, and this is the Downey that we fell in love with way back in the 80s and 90s. Michelle Monaghan, who I think is gorgeous and is a great actress and everything. I forget about her in almost every movie that she's in except this one.
Mm-hmm.
She's fantastic in this. It's because they actually gave her a character to play.
Yeah.
You know, and most other stuff that I've ever seen her in, like Eagle Eye and all that.
She's the hot girl.
Yeah, she's the hot girl. And she still plays hot girl,
Yep.
but she's very smart and has a lot of great lines in it too.
A lot of unexpected gunshots in this movie.
Yeah, shocking. Like,
right.
It's a violent film.
Yeah.
Like you're giving it a blanket endorsement, and I agree with that. But people should know going in that it's R. It's like violent and filthy.
Yeah.
But it is awesome and hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so Shane Black, just to fill in some background and everything, wrote the Lethal Weapon series. He did The Last Boy Scout, and he was also Last Action Hero. Pretty much, if anything had last in it, or long, or lethal, or anything starting with an L, he did it. Then he later on directed Iron Man 3, probably because of his experience with Downey on this and everything. And I just wish they had given it to him. It's I feel like this is another kind of, Edgar Wright situation where they just. They gave him this and said, here, take all the money involved and all that stuff. But it never feels like his movie.
No. Just this week, Rebecca Ferguson gave an interview about how drastically her character in that movie was altered. She was supposed to be a major villain. And the studio didn't think action figures of girl villains would sell.
What?
And so
they still kind of do that, though. Don't they
still kind of do, yes. But I think you're exactly right that this was Marvel forcing Shane Black into a box for Marvel interests instead of letting a talented guy run loose.
Because a real Shane Black Iron Man 3 would have been a great fucking movie.
I think you're right.
And this turns out to be one of the worst of the Marvel that they've ever come out with. It does have that great line, parents die, don't need to be a pussy about it, or whatever. Dads die, don't be a pussy about it, or whatever. That's very Shane Black.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and then he later on did The Nice Guys this year, which was really good.
Yep.
What else, guys?
Did we talk about Rent?
Yeah, we should.
Rent was a phenomenon.
It was
on Broadway. And they got
No Day But Today.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
They got most of the cast to be in the movie, right?
They did, yes, because Anthony Rapp was in the original. Tay Diggs was in the original. Who else?
Idina Menzel.
Idina Menzel was, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they got most of. I think Rosario Dawson was one of the ones that they added.
And what's her name from Death Proof?
Rose McGowan.
Tracy Toms.
Tracy Toms, yeah.
Tracy Toms. So yeah, they got most of the original.
Yeah.
Yes. Fucking Rose McGowan.
You didn't know she could sing?
Yeah.
But not everybody will like the source material. It's kind of it is the inspiration for the Everybody Has AIDS scene in Team America.
Yes.
But you got to be made of stone for some of these songs not to get to you. The whole start of the 525,600 minutes, and it goes into La Vie Bohème, and then the Maureen Tango and everything. I saw the musical on stage a long time ago, but I think it's a pretty faithful adaptation. I mean, that's why they had the original cast, and this is Idina Menzel before her Frozen fame, obviously, and she plays a very non-Disney character.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I never saw it all the way through. But I love the music from the stage show, and we used to play it. The first theater I ever worked at, the manager was obsessed with Rent. It was right when Rent was at its peak. I'm not sure there's been a Broadway musical since then that was this big of a deal until maybe Hamilton.
Yeah.
Or Wicked, I guess.
Yeah, maybe Wicked. But it was huge.
Yeah.
And he would play the soundtrack as basically the lobby music constantly.
Oh,
and
nice.
I fell in love with all the songs. I've never seen the stage play. And I never sat and watched the whole movie, and I should.
I saw this off Broadway back in 2005, and it had Drew Lachey, the brother of Nick Lachey,
nice.
was in this. And I really enjoyed it then. When the movie came out, I'm like, okay, what? I mean, it's just, I don't know what it is about movies and musicals and everything. A lot of times it just, I don't know, just not, it doesn't feel right or whatever. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Rent is fine.
If you'd gone to off Broadway, you could have seen George Costanza's one-act play La Cocina.
Yes. But Rent is basically got its roots in La Boheme, the opera.
Yeah.
It's the same type of deal
Uh-huh.
where it's like, you know, these people are living in, basically La Boheme is just about people getting evicted.
Uh-huh.
That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically all it is.
I want to make a musical about people getting evicted.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! I do want to mention, because you brought it up, that between last week's podcast and this one, I watched Team America: World Police.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
And I laughed my ass off.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to ask you guys something.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of this movie's visual gags are simply, oh, look, they're puppets?
A few.
I wouldn't say as much as you
Like
would
that
expect.
slow
they've got-
motion where they play the Kill Bill slow-mo walk music, but then their legs are all
Yeah.
goopy as they're walking. I felt like there were lots of beats where it was just, they're humans and not puppets, and therefore it's funny.
Yeah.
I even laughed at some of, like, when he throws up in the alley, and it just
Yeah.
goes on
Oh, my
and
God.
on and on. Like, I was laughing at first because it looked funny to see a puppet that was actually spewing liquid as
Yeah.
though he was throwing
Well,
up.
and then it's so obviously just like they didn't even care. Like they were running out and it was just like spraying like some weird like consistency that was coming out.
Anyway, I did enjoy the movie very much, and
Well, good.
just
I'm
thought
glad
I'd
that you
report
enjoyed
back
it.
to you.
I do want to get a sense. I want everybody to sort of get a sense of how many remakes and sequels were in this.
Yeah, but I also, before you do that, I want to let you know I have a handful more I think I want to talk about.
Okay, we'll go through that. I'm going to run down this list real quick.
Do it.
Okay, so sequels, remakes, or stuff based on TV shows or whatever, not original at all. Star Wars Episode 3, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, War of the Worlds, King Kong, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Longest Yard, Fantastic Four, I mean, somewhat. Fun with Dick and Jane.
People don't realize that was a remake.
Yeah. Cheaper by the Dozen too, because
Oh,
the first one was such a fucking big hit.
Oh, my God.
The Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh, my God.
The Ring 2. Let's see.
Assault on Precinct 13.
Saw 2, right?
Yeah, Assault on Precinct 13, Saw 2, Herbie Fully Loaded,
Ugh.
Guess Who, which is the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner remake,
Mm.
Bewitched, which also reminds me, Nicole Kidman was in Bewitched, and she was in the Stepford Wives remake that came out both the same year. Let's see, Miss Congeniality 2, The Legend of Zorro, Transporter 2,
Did
Bad
you say
News
Be
Bears?
Cool?
I did not say Be Cool, but Bad News Bears as well. And that was Richard Linklater. And you would thought that he would have done something different with it. He was kind of hamstrung. Triple X State of the Union. It was Aeon Flux and The Fog, the John Carpenter.
Oh, yeah.
It was The House of Wax, which they threw
Paris
Paris Hilton in. I just to get a sense of what you had to go through in 2005. That's just the top 100. There's probably many, many more that came out, but and Doom, based on the video game,
Yeah.
terrible movie. And that's not even getting into the stuff that's just based on books and or franchises that they needed to resurrect and
Well,
all
this
that.
was Hitchhiker's Guide, right?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which
We dumped
another
on a couple weeks ago.
pretty much almost unfilmable book, but they tried to do their best on that, I guess. But yeah, that's sort of what we saw.
Yeah.
That's why the box office wasn't very good.
The problem is when you decide early in a year to watch as many major releases in that year as you can, you don't have any idea what the quality is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, that's a shot in the dark. If you'd have done this in 1999, how freaking happy
Oh, it would have been amazing.
Anyway, there's a documentary, March of the Penguins, that came out.
Yeah,
recently. That's
yeah.
fantastic. If you've never seen it, it will make you feel emotions.
Yeah.
Which is not always the case with documentaries, but it's not very button pushy. Well, I don't think it is. I don't know shit about Antarctic penguins, but there's no Michael Moore down there shoving a mic in somebody's face, going, trying to manipulate some kind of a pull quote. This is just penguins being filmed and Morgan Freeman narrating over it. Well, this is as good a time as any to point out that nothing is like truth.
Yeah.
I tell my wife constantly, there is no pure source of truth in the universe.
And this is the most famous example. Nanook of the North was one of the first documentaries that ever got made, and Documentary Now made fun of that too. But it's one of those things where they were like looking for cool shots and they were trying to make things more entertaining and all these other stuff. So in the documentary, it happened. It happened on camera.
Mm-hmm.
They happened for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do it organically. Nanook of the North is one of the most notorious of that. Like almost nothing in that movie is real, but a lot of the techniques, the reason why it's considered still today, like, considered one of the all-time documentary classics, is that he did a lot of things with the camera that hadn't been done before. You had something else?
I have a few more, and we may be getting into IMDb versus Google on the dates territory, so you can tell me, just cut it out. But I'm showing A History of Violence came out this year.
Yeah, I believe it did.
That is fucking fantastic.
David Cronenberg.
Yes.
Well, and that's one of the only Cronenberg movies I'm likely to enjoy.
Yeah, me
Viggo
too.
Mortensen.
Also based on a comic.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's based on something.
Yeah.
This Viggo Mortensen's awesome in this.
Yeah.
It's a great story, great action. Liam Neeson wishes he could find a beat-ass movie this good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm also showing Derailed with Clive Owen and Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, which I didn't like at all.
You didn't like it at all?
No.
You don't see anything redeeming there.
I didn't. I just don't remember enjoying this movie.
I remembered enjoying it more than I expected.
Yeah, I thought it was
because
okay.
I thought I was watching a love affair movie, and it turns out to be so much more than that. I'm showing Shop Girl came out in 2005.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Martin, based on his own book, Claire Danes, Angels Sent from Heaven. Hitch?
Yeah.
We got to talk about
Huge
Hitch.
hit.
That was a big hit. And this is the movie I point to when I try and explain to people that I think Kevin James has talent. He just chooses projects that don't show it off. Because I think his chemistry with Will Smith in this movie is what makes the movie funny. Especially, and you can boil it all down to that scene where he's showing off his Q-tip and pizza dancing moves, and Will Smith's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very atypical romantic comedy lead in that he is pudgy. He's an accountant. This girl's way out of his league. Everyone knows it. And there's the parallel story with Eva Mendes and Will Smith. It's not perfect. I really think it's fun. I enjoy watching
It's still
it.
considered one of the go-to romantic comedies that have come out in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
I believe. Like it's.
Well, yeah, Will Smith is just charismatic and charming and just, I mean, you love this guy.
Yeah.
Well, and you even get that flashback to when he was the exact opposite, and he's that loser outside the window crying. And I can connect to that guy. But anyway, I feel like Kevin James, he does Paul Blart, he does The Teacher Goes Kickboxing, he does, the new TV show he's in, where I don't feel like he's just, I don't feel like he's acting. He's just picking terrible projects. But I feel like that guy's funny. We just got to get it out of him in a better setting.
Or non-Adam Sandler setting.
Okay, so now I'm sort of going to go down the line, unless you have something big that you.
Those were the ones I wanted to mention.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Smith came out. Doug Liman, not a great movie. This is the beginning of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt.
You can sense that there's something going on there, though.
Yeah.
And apparently there was.
Let's not act like this is uncommon. Like,
no, I guess not.
Two leads who play lovers that end up leaving their real life lovers and be together. It happens all the time.
Yeah. Kingdom of Heaven came out. Ridley Scott came out with a movie that I did not like in theaters, but a lot of people swear by the director's cut of this movie, which I've never seen.
I haven't either.
So I couldn't vouch for that myself, but a lot of people vouch for the director's cut. Hostel came out. Eli Roth, continuing that, tradition of super violence horror movies. Let's see, Constantine came out. A lot of people like Constantine.
I like Constantine.
You do?
Yeah, I mean it's not great. I think Rachel Weisz is actually really good in it. But when he's like, it's kind of like when Wolverine, like his claws come out and he's like, Rogue asks him if it hurts, and he's like, every time. Yeah. When Constantine goes to hell or to the other dimension, he's like, God damn it. He puts his feet in the water and everything. He's like, I fucking hate doing this, But it's not great, but it's fun to watch every once in a while.
We mentioned before Spielberg made 2 movies this year. One was Munich. And Munich is another movie that I feel like is approaching greatness, and then something about it pulls it aback from that. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie.
I love in Knocked Up where they all geek out
Yes.
Oh, muted! And Seth Rogen's like, for once, we got to be doing the killing.
Yeah. We're capping motherfuckers. Let's see. Cinderella Man came out. This, to me, might be Ron Howard's best movie.
Wow. I have it on my I don't really like it list.
I think it's one of his best. Apollo 13 probably is still his best movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is right under it for me. Paul Giamatti, great, finally gets nominated for an Oscar in this, and deservedly so. Russell Crowe is great in this too. But Cinderella Man came out at an unfortunate time, 6 months after $1 Million Baby and everything. So people were boxed out.
I'm
much.
boxed out still.
Yeah.
But it feels like we get a prestige boxing movie every goddamn year.
Or two even.
And this was based on a true story, right?
Yeah, this was Max Baer.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good. It accomplishes what
it was James Braddock. He was fighting Max Baer.
Yeah.
okay.
Max Baer was the guy from the 13th floor.
Craig Bierko.
Is he in the 13th floor?
Yeah.
All right. I got it right.
Sweet.
Yeah. You can call it the end of the world.
He's also in the Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yes, he is.
Which
yes.
was written by Shane Black.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sahara. Only reason I bring up Sahara is because of Matthew McConaughey's horrible losing streak.
He's not having a good year.
during the aughts. I want to mention Tyler Perry, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. This is the beginning of what is a genius marketing for a director, because he saw that there was an underserved audience out there. And as much as I hate a lot of these movies that have come out, like I feel like he gave that audience the movie that, they're not seeing in theaters, but he makes the same fucking movie over and over and over again. Now, this Boo and Medea Halloween that came out or whatever looks like a little bit different than his normal.
It's
you
Speed
know.
Inferno.
It made bank.
It
though.
made some huge bank. It's sort of revived his, it's revived that whole Medea franchise and everything for him. Like, as long as he does something a little different with it, I think he's fine. But
I want to know the non-filmmaker Perry, like the guy who cameos in the Star Trek remake, or the guy who's
Gone
in
Girl.
Turtles 2,
Right.
or Gone Girl.
Yeah.
That guy seems cool.
yeah.
I only saw this first one of the Medea type movies, and obviously they're not making it for me. But I didn't watch the others to notice that they're basically the same.
Yeah, this is the only one he didn't technically direct. So after this, he's writer director of everything, and he went at the height of this. He was coming out with like 2 a year.
Yeah, I bet you he's got billions from that.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, genius marketing. He found an underserved audience, and he went right after them, and he got that audience, and he's got a huge following because of it. You mentioned The Skeleton Key. I really like that movie.
It's a very fun movie.
Yeah, Kate Hudson, who's not having a great decade either.
Mm-hmm.
I always put her and Matthew McConaughey together as people had the worst stretch in this 10-year period. But this is a really underrated type of movie.
Oh yeah, it's got a great mood. It's set in Louisiana, and it got a great twist ending to it.
Yes, it
but
does.
the rest of the movie's good too.
Yeah. Lord of War came out. This is Andrew Niccol, who's of Gattaca. He wrote Gattaca, and he wrote. Actually, I think he may have directed Gattaca, and he wrote Truman Show. He also did that movie Simone with Al Pacino or whatever.
That stole my idea.
What?
I don't know if you remember, but when we were working at the theater together, I would talk frequently about an idea of a CGI actress that was so legit they fooled audiences.
Oh.
And then I pictured a comedy where like a Matthew Perry had to be her assistant to help perpetuate the ruse, but then somehow the police believe she's been murdered, and it becomes this romp. And then 6 months after I started talking about this shit, Simone comes out. I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Now, another movie that I'm pretty sure is 2006, but I'll mention it because it shows up here. Hard Candy came out. This is what brought Ellen Page into...
Yeah.
It's not an easy movie to watch.
No, it's not at all.
It's a very tough movie. Very tough movie.
Because she's
Love it, though.
pretty amazing, though.
Yeah.
She's exacting revenge on the guy who abused her.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, very hard to watch, but that's the reason why Ellen Page became what she became. And then The New World, Terrence Malick. Oh my God, such a great movie.
This is a tale of two movies for me.
Yeah.
I think the first half of this is outstanding. I would give a 100%. You should go find it and watch the first hour. It is the very best thing I've ever seen Terrence Malick do. It's ethereal. It's moody. It's a little awkward with the young age of Pocahontas because he was going for a little realism there. But then when the second half switches over and we're more following Christian Bale and the house in Syria or wherever the fuck they are, it really kind of loses me completely by the time it's over.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. This is a movie that's gotten quite a following since it came out. It did nothing at the box office, but it's sort of gotten that sort of film student kind of cult following at this point because it's one of those type of movies. Broken Flowers. This was a movie Bill Murray was very close to winning an Oscar for.
This is a very, very good movie. This is Jim Jarmusch doing a very relatable relationship-based. It's not a comedy. It's got its own moroseness, but it's a good watch.
Yeah. Noah Baumbach did The Squid and the Whale. Another fantastic movie.
We'll give some Capote love for 30 seconds.
Go for it.
Oh, I thought his performance was outstanding.
It's
Philip
amazing.
Seymour Hoffman is just badass.
We go out of our way to praise that guy's acting because it deserves it. So I don't think we can let this podcast slide without saying that dude was awesome.
Yep.
No, he's fantastic in it, and he won the Oscar for Capote.
Oh, really?
I believe he
I
won
think he did, yeah.
What a crazy story. You talk about a biopic. I mean, that's the type of guy you want to watch a story about his life, you know?
Yeah, and then I remember it felt like maybe 6 months later they came out with that other Capote movie, and there were a lot of people who liked that one better, but I never saw that.
It was the one that focused on In Cold Blood, right?
Yeah. But also Harsh Times. A lot of people love the David Ayer, Christian Bale movie.
I like that movie, but Training Day and other movies he's been involved with are far superior.
Yeah. Syriana came out. It seemed like this was a huge George Clooney year because he was in this. He directed Good Night and Good Luck and all that, and Syriana was a movie I didn't really like. I didn't like that at all. But Good Night and Good Luck is good.
Yeah, it is.
Very good. Talking about the basically the Red Scare and the McCarthyism and all that stuff that was going on back in the day. And I love David Strathairn in that movie so much. He's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, Edward R. Murrow was just, you can imagine him in our media landscape now. Like, he was just fed the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah. I would definitely recommend going to that. That's just some good history history type filmmaking. Hustle and Flow also came out. That was a big deal. 3-6 Mafia got the Oscar for their.
They did.
It's hard out there for a pimp.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's Terrence Howard's probably his best performance.
And
I think he was nominated too, right?
No, Jimmy Fallon got it for Fever Pitch.
Oh yeah, Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
We keep bringing that up
because the World Series was last night and the Cubs won.
That's right.
Yeah, baseball on the brain.
Yes, Terrence Howard did get nominated for that. So what's the order?
So the order is Barrett, Jeremy, and Chris.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is a hard year to pick a winner.
Yeah,
yes, it
kinda
is.
like last year.
Well, we had the opposite problem because last year there was so many great ones, and this one there's just so many. Okay. So my pick is going to be Match Point.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Because I think it's my favorite of this year. Talked about how it's an atypical Woody Allen movie, but there's enough there where you can recognize it, and the performances are great. That's my pick.
Brokeback Mountain.
Nice.
And even if the second hour is a little too depressing and starts to lose me by the very end scene, that first hour is 10 times better than most movies that are great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first hour is just amazing, and I could watch it right now. We said a bunch about this earlier. The performances are all outstanding. This is a heartbreaking movie, and all the people behind the scenes were firing on all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brokeback Mountain wins.
All right.
This is, this is Ang Lee and everybody involved at their very, very, very best, and it's hard to pick against it. I don't know how else. I mean, if you're someone who doesn't believe that gay people should be a thing, you're never going to like this movie.
I'm glad somebody addressed those people and it didn't have to be me. But you're not wrong.
No, I mean, is that something out of line?
No.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, that was the movie's problem. That was why it was a lightning rod, because half the audience was like, "This is great," and half the audience started making jokes where the word "brokeback" became a substitute for gay.
Right. It is a fantastic movie, though.
Yes.
So yeah, Brokeback wins it here.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about our favorite holiday movies.
What's this? What's this?
Holiday, oh, holiday, and the best one of the year. On holiday, holiday. We are a holiday, and the bells are ringing out for Christmas Day.
It's a Festivus miracle.
Since we're coming up on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that. Mm-hmm. For you Canadians, Boxing Day. Yeah, you and your little Boxing Day.
That's how they say it.
Yes. Anyway, let's talk about some of our favorite holiday movies. Jeremy, take it away.
All right. Well, there are only a few Thanksgiving movies, so I concentrated a lot of my efforts on Christmas movies,
which is generally it's where we get our best holiday movies.
Yeah, I mean, no one at a studio is going, we got to make a Thanksgiving centric movie. Those make bank. No,
Yeah,
it's not. There's no Santa there. So anyway, so we've mentioned before. I know Barrett, you love Elf.
Yep.
Muppet Christmas Carol. These are annual watches for me. White Christmas, which everyone in my entire extended family can quote front to back.
Oh, yeah?
My mom and her sister fell in love with this movie when they were young. And by the time I was 5, we were watching White Christmas every single year.
No kidding.
By the time I was 10, I was quoting it. By the time I was 15, I was saying the lines ahead of the actors and pissing off my mom. Now I have 2 cats named for characters in White Christmas, Wallace and Davis. It's probably my very favorite Christmas movie of all time.
Was White Christmas where White Christmas came from? Or
No.
It was in Holiday Inn,
It was in
wasn't
Holiday
it?
Inn. Yeah. But another little factoid I love, in Holiday Inn, they did, for whatever reason, that inn decided Lincoln's birthday or President's Day was a holiday worthy of being open. And there's a song called Abraham, and it's really slow. But in White Christmas, there's a dance number called the Abraham number, and it's instrumental, and it's the same melody sped up like 10 times fast. Dun, 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 dun. And in Holiday Inn, it's bo, 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 bo. It's basically Moon River as far as like the pacing. Another one I watch every Christmas is Scrooge, the musical.
Oh, yeah.
Came out in the 70s. What's weird is this was another one Mom showed us every year when we were growing up. But I would always fall asleep or leave the room at the end when he goes to hell because it scared the shit out of me. Mm-hmm. It really did. But my brother and I then got to college and realized, hey, nobody knows this movie. Like, we're trying to sing the songs like Father Christmas, Father Christmas. Nobody knows it. I met my wife and I was trying to make a reference to that I like drinking the thing I'm drinking song when he meets the ghost of... Anyway, I don't feel like anybody's ever seen that.
Who was the Scrooge in that? Was it Michael Caine?
Albert Finney.
Albert Finney. Yeah.
Who would go on to be in a Bourne movie, of all things. It's really long, too, the musical Scrooge.
And that's the thing about Scrooge and Christmas Carol movies is that there's 50 million of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so, when you're asking who's the Scrooge in that, I was like, maybe George C. Scott?
Well, that's the one my wife grew up watching.
Yeah.
Everybody's got Miracle on 34th Street. There was really only one of those. Mm-hmm. But there are dozens of Scrooge movies or Christmas Carol
There's
movies.
Even a Mickey's Christmas Carol.
There is, and there's even a Bill Murray Scrooged, which I have on my list.
I was actually going to ask you about that because this is the musical, but there wasn't a musical before that. Is that whole pretense of them doing a live network show in Scrooged, was that based on the musical Scrooge?
Might have been. I don't know.
Because it's so over the top and they get like Mary Lou Retton.
But Scrooged is one of those. Scrooged is one of those movies that everybody forgets when they talk about Bill Murray, and it's a little before What About Bob and Groundhog Day. I think it's after Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's about 88.
Yeah, but it's just loopy enough. They probably wouldn't make this movie this way today. They gave Bill Murray just enough rope to ad-lib and leave some of it in, but I think it's really funny.
It's hilarious.
And I try and watch it every year, but those are my must-watches. right there.
He is such a terrible person in that movie.
Oh, he's awful.
He is such a I mean, it's so over the top.
With that special he's got with the Santa in a tank or whatever.
I mean, every decision that he makes is just the most heartless motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I guess if it's anybody except for Bill Murray, a handful of other people, it would turn people completely off for it. But he pulls it together great, and Bobcat Goldthwait is funny as hell.
Alfred Woodard is in this.
Yeah.
Way before anybody knew who she was, and she's really good.
Carol Kane and the guy from the New York Dolls, David Johansen.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting that you mentioned Bill Murray because he did a Christmas special last year on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
I heard it was terrible.
I heard the same thing. I watched it. I loved it, man.
Oh, really?
It was great.
Even the Miley Cyrus stuff?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. The Miley Cyrus stuff was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she actually did like a nice, I think it was Silent Night or something like that. She did a nice, like, traditional Christmas carol. And Clooney's in it. And then David Johansen and a couple of other people, they're sitting around this bar and they sing this song from a band called the Pogues, which is an Irish punk band called Fairy Tale of New York. And it's fantastic. It is so great. It's a great moment. The thing is just kind of absurd, over the top in the first place. But I thought it was a lot of fun. I will probably watch it again if it's on.
I might have to watch it then.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got?
Well, if we're going to talk about Christmas, I'll throw in a couple more. Of course, Nightmare Before Christmas. We talked about when we talked about that year. It could be either a Halloween movie, or it could be a Christmas movie, or it could really be anything in between.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start watching this movie right around Halloween and then just keep it on repeat for the rest of the holiday season.
Today, my wife was leaving to go to the grocery, and I was leaving to come here. And she said, now we talked a couple days ago about watching Stranger Things together because I still haven't seen it.
Uh-huh.
A friend recommended it to her. But she said, oh, by the way, while you're still podcasting, I might go ahead and watch. And I was like, Stranger Things? And she was like, oh, no, Nightmare Before Christmas. I wanted to know if you wanted me to wait for you. Like, that's how important that movie is. I mean, we're like 3 days after Halloween here, and she's probably going to watch it 10 times before Christmas.
There's something about, it's one of the only holidays, Christmas, where music is really intrinsic to it.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite Christmas movies, just like you, are the ones that have great music in it. White Christmas, Holiday Inn, Nightmare Before Christmas, all that stuff. And even the Bill Murray special. If you have that element in there, it gives you the goosebumps, especially that Fairy Tale of New York. If you ever listen to that, it's great. It's about a Christmas Eve in the drunk tank. But yeah, so that's fantastic. One of my favorite, it's probably my favorite Christmas movie of all time is Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a couple you're going to talk about another Christmas movie that's not necessarily a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
And with Home Alone, you just think of it as an action comedy starring this precocious 8-year-old. But it's very much a Christmas movie, and it'll make you feel all the Christmas feels. And it just makes me happy every time I watch it. It makes me hysterically laugh every time that I watch it. And it kind of gets a little dusty in the room when Catherine O'Hara comes home, and he has that moment where he pouts for a second and then he breaks into that wide smile.
Man,
there's
it's
a lot of
rare
innocence.
that a comedy has such a memorable score or theme song. That Anyway, I love that movie.
It's got two themes. It's got that, and then it's got the Man, yeah. No, I listen to that score a lot, especially around the holidays.
Yeah, we were all perfect age when Home Alone came out.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
perfect. It's become a bona fide classic over the years and everything. I love Home Alone. I haven't seen it in forever now, but but it's great.
I actually don't mind Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
No, that's something I definitely haven't seen in forever.
Tim Curry is really funny in it.
Mm-hmm.
You've actually got a cameo by Donald Trump in that.
That movie. That's right.
But it's a ridiculous premise. The first one is a ridiculous premise, but this is way absurd. But it's still got the same heart, and it's still fun. And they take the whole house booby trapping thing up another notch, and it's still funny because you've got Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci that are perfect in those roles. It's a retread, but it's one that's just familiar enough to be happy for me.
Yeah. Christmas movies I obviously grew up with, and I think everybody has, and I don't need to really rehash them, but A Christmas Story is one that, of course, they still on TNT or TBS play that 24 hours, during Christmas Eve and Christmas and everything. A Christmas Story is just one of those just all-time great, just fun comedy classics and everything. It's a Wonderful Life. I know that's a worn out, Christmas suggestion and everything, but
because it's awesome.
It's really that awesome.
It really is.
It's a movie that I could watch over and over again, and it's perfect. But the movie that you're talking about that isn't very, considered a Christmas movie is Die Hard.
Yeah.
Although yes, now I have a machine gun. Ho. But it's got Christmas all the way through it. It's in the backdrop of everything, just because it happens over Christmas and all that. But I think over the years, people have started to cite it more and more as a holiday movie.
Yeah.
Even though it is a slam bang action pick with
Slam bang.
That's right, man.
Slam bang.
Slam bang.
No more tables.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it even has Christmas music all the way through it. It's got, but definitely not a Christmas movie per se, but set all around Christmas. Yeah. So it's perfect. And Die Hard is one of the
best. I think there's Christmas songs in the movie.
Yeah. The weather outside is frightful. And they even have the Run DMC, Christmas and Hollis Queens.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. Now you mentioned Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving definitely doesn't have very many great movies. Almost all of them have to do with an extended family coming back home to eat Thanksgiving dinner, and they're dysfunctional, and that's what's so great about it. Whatever. I hate all those movies.
I don't like them.
Yeah, every one of those movies are terrible to me. I don't think they're good. One that came out though that is centered around Thanksgiving is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's the Thanksgiving movie, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean really, when it comes down to it, this is the best Thanksgiving movie you can come across. Steve Martin is hilarious in this. John Candy is hilarious in this. Perfect matchup of two people who are at the height of their comic powers and everything. You couldn't get guys who were more different, and everything about this. Steve Martin's irritation is so palpable and earned.
Without this, do you think we ever get Tommy Boy?
Probably not.
Doesn't Tommy Boy owe itself to this?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. But this is a movie that basically is it's a PG movie, except for one scene,
and it's
glorious.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Oh, it's so glorious because it's one of those. I think why it resonates so well is not just the fact that everything is fucking this and fucking that, and 4 fucking wheels and a seat, and all that. I think it's so relatable when we have to deal with people at counters a lot of times because they don't know the situation. All they know is what's in front of their computer or what paperwork they have and all that other type of stuff. And so he comes back and says the car isn't there. And she's like, oh, well, I guess you're screwed, but but the whole thing of him just going through that, just, he's like, can I help you, sir? And he's like, yes. that look on his face. You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile off your fucking face.
That's great.
But I love it. So great.
Well, there is another Thanksgiving movie that's atypical, and it actually takes place over 2 Thanksgivings. It's Hannah and Her Sisters, which is a Woody Allen film from back in, I'm talking a lot about Woody Allen here, but back in the 80s. And it's great. I mean, it's kind of how this family falls apart and then comes back together. Not in a schmaltzy way. It's really fun. You would not confuse this with any other director. This is a very Woody Allen movie.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's got his whole regular cast of characters and everything. One of the husbands marries another one of the sisters after divorcing one of the other ones. and Mia Farrow, Diane Wiest, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Good Thanksgiving movie.
I haven't seen it in forever, but I did enjoy it when I watched
A lot of the things I was thinking of trying to come up with holiday movies were Frasier episodes, because Frasier has a lot of great holiday-themed episodes. There's a Thanksgiving one where they in Boston trying to get their son into this. Frasier and his ex-wife Lilith are trying to get their son into this prep school that's super prestigious. So they decide to make a visit over to the headmaster's house. It's Thanksgiving Day, mind you. And they just basically they make a fool of themselves. They get back and they're second guessing. Maybe we should have let him know this school's our first choice, because all we said was that he had other offers. And then they keep thinking of excuses like I lost an earring or what have to go back over there. They get over there. They have actually ruined this poor guy's Thanksgiving turkey by interrupting him so much. They go back to where Niles and Frasier's dad are and steal that turkey from the oven and take it over to the headmaster's house. And the subplot is Niles and the dad watching the son, and they're just injuring the fuck out of this kid. The whole episode, he breaks out in hives. He gets like poked by something. It's one of my favorite Frasier episodes ever. But anyway, just thought I'd shout out Frasier a little bit.
If we're going to do all the holidays, I want to mention one thing about New Year's Eve movies.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of what I think are fun New Year's Eve movies.
New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve movies.
I'm saying New Year's Eve, the movie?
No, not that one.
Yeah.
But I like this probably more than you guys do. 4 Rooms. And I don't think it's a good movie overall.
Well, the Robert Rodriguez part and the Quentin Tarantino part are both great.
They are great, and then Tim Roth is great.
Yeah,
I mean, he's playing the bellboy from the Jerry Lewis type of thing, and it's all screwball, and he finds himself in weird situations and everything. There's a great Kathy Griffin cameo in this. But that's a fun New Year's Eve movie, seeing how things, kind of coalesce around this one guy. The other one is a movie called 200 Cigarettes that a lot of people haven't seen.
I've never seen it.
But let me give you the rundown of the cast of this movie. It's an ensemble piece about, people coming together in 1981 to one party. A party where Harvey Danger is actually playing as the house band, by the way. But the film has Ben Affleck, Casey Affleck, Dave Chappelle, Janine Garofalo, Gabby Hoffman, Kate Hudson, Courtney Love, Jay Moore, Martha Plimpton, Christina Ricci, and Paul Rudd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a pretty good cast.
It really is. I mean, it's so cut to death that it kind of loses it, like any momentum that it builds. But it's a fun movie, and it's based around New Year's Eve.
Isn't New Year's Eve prominent a couple times in When Harry Met Sally?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I've always classified that as a New Year's Eve movie in my head.
Yeah, I did. I wrote that down in our emails. Was one that I was thinking of. It's definitely not like a New Year's Eve movie per se, because it goes over a whole bunch of years in their lives and everything, but it ends on the New Year's Eve thing where he finally professes his love to her and all this other type of stuff. But yeah, I'd consider that a holiday movie in some way.
Do you guys go Passion of the Christ or Hop for best Easter movie?
I'd like to do a double feature.
Yeah. Which one do you like to do first? Passion of the Christ?
Passion of the Christ, obviously.
Passion of the Christ.
In fact, I make a sandwich. I watch it before and after Hop.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Just talk about making a Passion of the Christ sandwich with rabbit meat.
Do you stick Irreversible in between both of those movies?
God. I'm a sucker for glutton for punishment.
Yes, you are. Easter movies, there's not like anything of that. There's not like really... Yeah, I mean...
Other than the movie Valentine's Day, there's not even Valentine's Day movies. They just put romantic comedies out at Valentine's.
Yeah.
So holiday-wise, it's really already covered with the... Unless you want to talk about Arbor Day.
Yeah, well, we missed Halloween, but we did talk about all the horror movies when Modern Horrors came in here. But obviously, Halloween is the best Halloween movie there is.
There is. It's so weird, right?
Yeah.
I got to rep Hocus Pocus for my wife because she'll smack me around if I don't. I hate this goddamn movie.
Yeah.
She loves it. It has legions of fans, and I just read yesterday all 3 leads have publicly said they want to make a sequel. What's taking Disney so long? And my wife geeked out about that.
Wow.
So that is a Halloween-themed movie I know lots of people love. I can't stand it.
Now, there's a movie that's a cult classic, because that didn't do anything either.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that didn't do anything, and now suddenly everybody remembers it, like that you're around. You're like, oh, I love Hocus Pocus. Really?
I think it's gonna get a nostalgia sequel. I think it is.
Yeah, looks like it. All right, well, we're ready for some Q&A, I think.
Let's do it.
Question. I got something to say.
truth. I am listening.
Okay, the first question is, what would you say are some classic films that are still influencing filmmakers today long after their release? One of the examples that this questioner gave was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which they described as Tim Burton-esque. I could see that. And also Christopher Nolan owing half of his filmography to Sunset Boulevard's beginning. And that's interesting to me. But what do you guys think is a film or even like a slice of the filmmaker that's still influencing things today?
Man, I'm cynical about this question because I'm not sure very many people are influenced by anything that came way back in the past anymore. Movies are so different now that if you say that, oh, I took my inspiration from, Citizen Kane, like, well, I didn't see anything Citizen Kane in that. Like Paul Thomas Anderson recently did Inherent Vice, and he said Airplane was an inspiration. And I remember when I watched the movie, I was expecting, there's like maybe 2 type of airplane gags in that movie, maybe a couple more, but not to the point where I'm like, you were totally influenced by Airplane, weren't you? It's stuff like that where people say that and you're like, really? No, that can't be true. But I am cynical to the point now that I believe Michael Bay and Armageddon is probably the influence for most people.
That's horrifying.
You're probably not wrong. Sad as that is to say.
I knew people through my movie theater career, like who had grown up basically as kids through Michael Bay movies and everything, and said that he's the guy that I want to emulate, basically.
But why?
I don't know.
We have talked also on this show about Pulp Fiction and its influence.
Yeah.
And whether or not that it's still felt today. There was a good decade there where people were trying to ape what Tarantino had done in that movie, whether it was storytelling or sequencing of edit or shot styles or what have you. I lean more to Chris here. Like, I think it's easy in a educational, intellectual discussion to link almost any 2 films together and say this is influenced by this. I think you can see that where it may not exist. So what I wrote down for my answer to this question is a cheat, and it's that radio broadcast of War of the Worlds that Orson Welles did, where people actually thought it was a real alien invasion and freaked the fuck out. And that's what I think found footage movies today are trying to go for that, make you think it's real. Like Blair Witch was basically a horror film version going for that same kind of reaction.
Yeah.
But again, I lean more towards Chris. I think films have changed so much just in the last 20 years. Because we talked about that era when Untouchables and Hunt for Red October and those films were coming out. They don't make movies like that anymore.
Yeah.
Die Hard. They would not shoot that movie today the way it was shot then. They'd shoot it like Taken. And we'd get 13 cuts of Hans Gruber falling to the ground.
And we're getting, the people who are good and who are up and coming and everything, they seem to have their own little flavor.
Exactly.
You can say, well, some of this is Scorsese, or, you can say some of this might be a little bit Tarantino or whatever. But I don't really see like people emulating stuff from, people like Tim Burton, Christopher Nolan, all these guys may still have some sort of, influence from the past, but like anybody who's coming up now who's making any kind of movie seems like they have, like, it's either Spielberg or it's Michael Bay or whatever. I do think a lot of the sci-fi movies that come out owe everything to 2001. They try to do a 2001 type scene. They try to make things quiet. They try to, have like real moments of tension and everything. So a lot of the sci-fi movies we see are maybe influenced by 2001. But you had some directors who like owed some things to, and they tried to emulate, everything that they did. Like Paul Thomas Anderson definitely has Kubrick and Altman DNA and his stuff. There was a guy, Todd Haynes, who doesn't make very many movies, but he owes a lot to Douglas Sirk on his movies. But he does. Todd Haynes doesn't make a lot of movies.
Yeah.
He does. It's not like his fingerprints are everywhere in our movies we watch today. Everything I see, especially like big comic book movies and all sort of type of stuff, have a lot of Michael Bay DNA in it, where it's music video type editing, no real care about what you see in, the action and everything. Just a whole bunch of stuff like slapped together, and this is, we'll throw in a couple of funny lines so that everybody's entertained, and then, we call that an
Are
action.
you not entertained?
Yeah. So, maybe further study required on some of these directors, but I'm more cynical about this question.
No, it's interesting to hear you say Spielberg, actually, because the vibe that I get from Stranger Things is very Spielberg.
Yes.
But
that's
that's
intentional. That's more homage than influence, isn't it?
That's an interesting distinction,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, I guess so. I guess maybe
Although
if
you could
anything
say
that's-
that maybe there's not that much difference between those two
Well,
things.
what came to mind when I was thinking about this is Bruno Mars's, I know it's a different thing, but Bruno Mars's new song, 24 Karat Magic, is just a blatant, it's not a blatant Prince ripoff, but it's very similar. I mean, the sounds are the same, the vocoders
It's
and all
also
that
tragic because I want to hear that guy sing,
I know.
and he just keeps doing this rap shit.
He's shouting. But that's a difference. I mean, obviously, that's a big influence, the P-Funk and the Prince influence, but you could call it also an homage, too. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that line kind of bifurcates it, but yeah, no, it's an interesting
It is
discussion.
an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ultimately, I think you could probably cherry pick any number of scenes that people make today and say, well, that's kind of like, this person. But I don't really think anybody looks back to the old ways anymore. Maybe some things here and there, lighting wise and all that, but I just don't see it.
Okay, next question. How do you guys feel about end credit scenes, both as movie fans and former movie theater employees?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, I can't stand this fucking shit.
To give your disclaimer, except for the shawarma scene at the end of Avengers, which is a moment of humor.
Yes.
Not a tease,
Mm-hmm.
not a trailer for another film,
Yep.
not something I have to go Google, except
Right.
for what the word shawarma is, because I didn't know when I saw that movie. But other than that one, fuck them.
It's a treat. It's a treat. And what I'll make the comparison is, you don't have to listen to the silly outtakes that we put at the end of these podcasts. Sometimes they're like 8 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're 30 seconds long. But what it is just, it's not essential to it. But if you want to listen to us talk a little bit more, that's what it is.
But-
Right. That's the shawarma scene right there. It's
Imagine
just,
our outtakes were us going, now next week we're going to talk about this, and this.
Yeah.
Just using it as an advertisement. I think I wrote in my email to you that what was once a rare treat has morphed into, this is basically TV shows saying next time on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You have to have those previews.
As the question is phrased towards movie theater employees and everything, let me tell you this, that first off, especially I can only speak for my experiences at the Hollywood 27, where we had to cover all this acreage of screens, and stuff is getting out left and right, and you have a very bare minimum staff as it is already. You go into a movie that is sold out and everybody's left their shit there because, hey, that's what the ushers are paid for,
Right.
which is bullshit.
Yeah.
And if
Right.
you say that, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
They have to go in and clean that up, or else they get bitched out and all this other type of stuff, and people start not wanting to go to your theater anymore because it's always dirty and everything. So the only real chance that these people have to clean this theater and then get to the next one that they have to get to is to be able to clean it during the credits.
Yep.
Now, there are people out there who like to watch the credits even if there isn't a special scene. And by the way, fuck you too. Because I know that you probably, when you grew up, you and your dad or somebody were like, hey, let's pay attention to these credits because these are the people who made that movie. We're being respectful to them. Fuck you. Go to the IMDb and be respectful.
Fuck you and your dad.
Yeah, fuck you and your dad. Because yeah, I understand that you feel like it's part of your experience and everything. Sorry, in this modern day, it shouldn't be a part of your experience anymore. You should be able to go to the IMDb and look at all the stuff that you need to look at and see who did the Foley artists and all that other type of stuff. You can. It's not like in the 80s where you're like, oh, I want to know who did this and that.
Well,
and
and for that matter, I know what the Doctor Strange and mid-credit scenes are because I read an article about it, and that movie came out in the UK last week.
Yeah.
So I don't even need to watch to see what it is.
So ultimately, what's also horrible about these, you guys touched on a lot of those, but ultimately, though, those scenes don't matter. There's nothing about those scenes that make you go, man, I'm glad I stayed around for that. ever.
Nuh-uh.
There's been 20, 30 of these things now, and every single one of them that I have stayed around to watch, the entire fucking auditorium is like, oh.
Yeah.
Again, except the shawarma scene, which I think made everybody laugh.
Yeah.
But is still pointless and
Right.
doesn't need to be there.
Yeah. So, yeah, ultimately, yeah, as a movie theater employee, fuck them and fuck you for watching them.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
time for another one?
Yeah, we got time for one more. What are some of the best deleted scenes usually found on DVDs and Blu-rays that you think should not have been deleted to begin with? And I've got the all-time answer.
Do it.
So they did a mini-series called The Godfather Saga a long time ago, and they chronologically put The Godfather 1 and 2 movies together.
Fantastic.
And it's great. Now, we're actually in the minority, I think, because
Yeah,
a
I think
lot of
so.
people don't like this, putting this together like that. It definitely has its strengths and weaknesses, but it does have a couple of awesome scenes that I wish were in the original. And one of them is a very small section after the wedding reception where Vito and all of his sons, including Johnny Fontaine, go to visit his dying consigliere. And there's a moment there right before they go into the hospital room where Vito and Michael sit there or stand there and talk for a second about what his plans are going to be after he gets out of the military. And he's asking what he's going to finish school. And he's like, all right, well, after that, I want you to come to me and we're going to talk this over. He even says, like, I approve that. Like, the understanding that Michael has and the understanding that Vito has are completely different. And what it does is when Michael comes to the hospital bed, when Vito's in there later on after he's getting shot, and he says, I'm with you, Pop. I'm with you.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That makes that so much more poignant.
Yeah.
Because it's got that beat where he's like, no, I'm going to separate myself from this. But you see, like, and that's why he has that little smile on his face when he says, I'm with you.
Mhm.
That's
Anyway,
awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give lip service to the original I Am Legend ending that everyone prefers to the one they left on the film. But my answer to this is actually Wrath of Khan. Because when we were doing the Sins video, we went out of our way to make fun of Scotty because this random ensign kid dies or is dying, and Scotty is bawling like he is just devastated, and it doesn't make any sense. Well, there was a scene they cut where that character is introduced as Scotty's nephew. And so you leave that one little scene in there, we actually get emotional payoff from Scotty instead of me scratching my head going, why does he care about this one ensign over anybody else that just died?
Yeah.
Actually, other people dead down there, but this is the one he's crying about. But it makes more sense when you realize he's blood. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I've only seen this one time, so I'm not going to be able to recreate it with the way you did that Godfather thing. But you might be able to
give it a shot.
It's Almost Famous.
Oh, yeah.
Jason Lee basically talking about what it means to be a rock star and all that other type
Oh,
of
that's
stuff.
not the one. I don't know that one very well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big long like him talking, and
Yeah.
there's like scenes going over his dialogue.
Yeah, I've actually seen that.
Yeah, it's really great. It's not in the original movie at all, but once you watch the untitled version of it, it's him talking, basically about all this stuff about what it means to be a rock star and all this other stuff. I think that's the gist of it. But it's just one of those scenes. By the end of it, you're like, man, I was just mesmerized listening to Jason Lee.
Doesn't in the movie, maybe this is an extension of that. He does this bit in the movie where he's like, I make people get off.
Yeah.
It's when I was researching this last night, I found another one for Almost Famous, and they apparently shot a scene where the kid plays Stairway to Heaven for his mom in its entirety.
Oh,
and
really?
The scene is silent, them sitting there listening to Stairway to Heaven and you can watch this on YouTube, but then they couldn't get the rights to use Stairway, even though they got Zeppelin to give them rights for the other song.
Right.
And I think what happened is that's when they decided to shoot the girl playing Simon and Garfunkel for her mom to sort of explain the passion of music. But I would love to have seen an 8-minute scene of somebody listening to Stairway, and just everybody reacting differently.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
All right, that's going to do it for this SinCast. Keep going to SoundCloud and giving us your thoughts.
Another huge week of comments on SoundCloud.
We like
love
that
it
a lot.
It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It shows that you're engaged, and that's all we really care about is whether or not you like listening to this
What
shit.
I like about SoundCloud, by the way, is that you can see when they leave comments.
Yeah, it's timestamped.
Yeah, it's timestamped where it's like, And there'll be people that'll be like, I hope they talk about this. And then 10 minutes later, like, yes, they fucking talked about it.
Or that poor bastard who was so distraught that we never voted any of the Lord of the Rings movies best. He's like, I guess I'll just have to wait. Not going to give best of the year to any of the Tolkien movies.
Yeah,
I felt bad for that guy.
If we could choose all the movies that you guys are favorites, we would.
Yeah, that's actually like literally impossible.
Yeah,
so.
It literally is impossible. But anyway, we hope that you're still enjoying it. Anyway, that'll be the SinCast for this week. It's Chris Atkinson, Jeremy Scott, and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit Cinemasins.com. Una furtiva lagrima. Una furt.
This has totally been worth it.
Una furtiva lagrima.
Ah, there we go.
Terrible
You're
people.
going to cut that out, right?
So there are two highly regarded horrors that there are two
highly regarded horrors.
God damn it. Son of a
that.
bitch. Fuck. Fucking channel. I hate him.
Can we talk more about how much I hate Sin City?
You can if you want. It's going to be a long podcast because you got lots of angst and hate.
I didn't realize you hated it that much.
No, it's such a bad movie.
Yeah.
It's such a bad movie, and it's treated like it's a classic, and I don't get it.
I don't either. Fuck it.
I was 28 years old when that movie came out.
Should've
Perfect
been,
timing for me.
Yep.
I'm not. It's not because I'm old.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But you are old.
I'm old now.
Yeah.
But back then I wasn't.
Now.
Back then I was.
37. I'm not. Oh.
Yeah.
I remember that now. God, I'm stupid.
No, I mean, we talk a lot about stuff.
Well, I mean, we're always stupid. We're always like sitting there going, the fuck did we talk about?
Hello, Barrett. Well, hello, Barrett. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
Did you ever hear a song called Hide and Seek from Imogen Heap?
Yeah, I freaking love that song.
Fucking love that song.
It's yeah, I don't know how to describe that song, but I wish there was more
singular.
songs like it.
Yeah, because it's all a cappella and processed and all that stuff. He did that song. Did you ever hear that Bottoms Up song?
I don't think so.
It was Nicki Minaj. It's a song about alcoholism.
I tend to avoid Nicki Minaj when I can.
This is in her heyday. This was right after she did Kanye's Monster. Remember that
I'm a motherfucking monster.
I avoid Kanye too, so I don't know.
One of the lines from the Nicki Minaj thing is like, $50K for a verse, no albums out?
Ha! That was pretty good.
Every time I see a Nicki Minaj song, she's always like trying to find some way, somehow, to come up with some new way to say that guy's got a big penis.
Maybe one day she'll just make that the lyric.
Yeah.
That guy's got a big penis.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody's like, whoa, Nicki blew our minds again. She actually went out and said what she was thinking.
There's a part on Monster, actually. She's like, think quick, dick ass, give him whiplash.
That was pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the sound wasn't bad, but watching you do that was really uncomfortable.
It was
like,
fun.
It's like the Seinfeld where it's like naked, there's good naked and bad naked. Naked coughing, not good.
Mm-hmm.
No, naked crouching, not good, because then she started to cough. And he's like, you see muscles pop out that you didn't realize existed.